Hello? Hello?
Okay. Well,
Okay, it is 7 o'clock. We're going to open up a hybrid meeting of the Board of Appeals. Those of you in person, welcome back. It's good to see some faces. This meeting is being televised by Chelmsford Telemedia and being hand-recorded for minute-taking purposes. The board meeting is in person and also in a Zoom platform for public and applicants. The Town of Chelmsford Board of Appeals will be conducting a remote public hearing.
I can't hear right now. I can see that Brian's talking, but no, I can't hear anything.
thank you.
Is that better?
Same here. I don't hear anybody.
Kurt, can you fix that? The microphones aren't on, Kurt.
To talk?
No. It's the opposite.
Push to mute.
Push to silence. Can you hear
Hello?
anything yet?
Looks like he's on mute.
My green light is lit.
Chelmsford Telemedia needs to take him off mute.
Telemedia needs to take him off mute.
Hello?
Kurt,
See if you get a...
Hello, testing. Testing. Anybody? Anybody? Can you hear me?
I think I heard that.
we heard that.
The person's running it should be talking.
Okay, so you guys,
Can people on Zoom hear me now? Like a spring commercial. Can you hear me now?
you hear Brian?
Jamie, can you hear me?
What's going on, Pete?
It's some of his children is at reverb.
But I'm here, so it's not my kids in the background.
You don't know, maybe they've got you mic'd up.
Maybe. I wouldn't put it past them.
Hello? Hello?
There's a little reverb in there. I can see you now, Brian.
Hello?
Very low.
Hello? What's this volume on full?
Do this.
Sounds horrible.
The volume on
Steve, can you hear me? Steve? Steve, can you hear me? Okay, there we go. All right, hold on a second here. Okay, try.
Hello?
Try again.
Hello?
It's not clear at all when Brian is speaking into that microphone.
Hello?
Sounds like you have a busted mic or something.
Is there anything better over here?
Yeah, it's the same back here too. It's fuzzy, very fuzzy, even over here.
Did you hear her okay?
I'm
Maybe
actually
back up.
struggling to hear you.
You think it's...
Hello?
You can hear the finger.
Not helping.
Pete's here. He'll figure it out.
Can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Back up a little and try.
Hello?
That might be.
You're coming through, Brian. It's a little distorted. But you are coming.
Stay farther away from the mic.
Sounds better.
You go like... Because it's directional, so talk at it.
Okay. Good evening. This meeting is being televised by the Chelmsford Telemedia and being hand-recorded for minute-taking purposes. This board is meeting in person, also on the Zoom platform for the public and applicants. Town of Chelmsford Board of Appeals will be conducting a remote public hearing on Thursday, June 3rd, 2021 at 7 p.m. to hear the applications submitted. We have a continued public hearing, which is 9 Longview Road with Adam Bridge, for a special permit under 195-61, limited accessory apartment to build a new space for a limited accessory apartment and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. Is Mr. Bridge here this evening or with us on Zoom? Or someone speaking for him?
Mark Arulis here.
There you go.
Mark, are you speaking on behalf of?
Adam is the client.
Okay, well, good evening. I'm going to have Colleen bring up the plan, and if you can tell us a little about what you have proposed, we'll take a look at it.
Sure. So if you were looking at the plan, I don't know if it's your right or my left, but you'll see the proposed addition on the back side of the house, on the back of the garage. And that's the limited accessory apartment for his parents.
Can you tell us what the dimensions of the building are and what the square footage would be?
The dimensions are 30 by 24, 3.5. And we'd have to do a little quick calculator here because I didn't write down the square footage, but...
We have a size limitation. I think you're fine. I just want to know what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I am. I think I went over that with Colleen, but let me just...
You're coming out at like 720 and change, so that's fine. 750 is our size limit. So you have no dimensional issues?
I don't believe so.
As far as the setbacks, it looked to me like they were just fine.
Yeah.
There's big plans there.
Yeah, I just thought I could look at it, but nobody else can. If you want to go back to the plot plan, that would be great. Does any of the board have any questions regarding this project at this time?
Nope.
You, Charlie, any concerns? Is there anyone in the audience? You know what, I'll read the letters first, that's probably a better avenue. So the Center Water District, regarding 9 Longview Road, has no concerns. The Board of Health, regarding 9 Longview Road, has no comments. The police, regarding 9 Longview Road, have no comments. The building department for 9 Longview Road has no comments. And that is the end of my letters. Put those into the record.
Excuse me, Brian,
I did not receive one in the packet here, so...
But fire, I actually already have the fire department approved the permit, if that helps you.
It does. I mean, it's a requirement regardless if it's approved here or not.
Yeah.
Do smoke detectors and such to the whole home. Usually the fire department has a longer letter that they share that we don't have tonight. So we have no dimensional restrictions. Is there anyone in the audience or in Zoom who would like to speak on behalf or in opposition to this application? Seeing none, I'd accept a motion to close the public hearing.
I was not here for the first meeting. I can't vote.
There was no testimony.
Oh, this is just continued from...
It was, they didn't withdraw, they continued without any testimony.
Oh, okay. And I'll make a motion to close the public hearing, Brian.
By Charlie, second? Second by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Do I need to do a roll at this point?
No, you can do, well, for the two online, you can ask them.
Okay. Nancy, are you in favor of closing the public hearing?
Yes.
And Steve, are you in favor of closing the public hearing?
Yeah.
And Jamie.
Is Jamie in there? And Jamie, are you in favor of closing the public hearing? Okay, it's unanimous. The public hearing is closed. No concerns, nothing of interest?
We'll make a motion to approve the special permit under 195-6.1 for the limited access apartment without consideration to the letters being read into our meeting.
Do I have a second for the motion?
I'll second.
I think Nancy beat you to it. Nancy is the second.
That's fine.
And I think we are voting Steve, Nancy, Jamie, Charlie, and Brian is 5, right? Yeah, so that's the voting. So, all in favor? Aye. Nancy, Jamie, and Steve vote in the affirmative. It passes. That was really rough. Pull this out, or do you want me to fix it, or do you want to? I'll be glad to. I just don't want to mess up what you have.
Yes, it's
This here. Our next hearing is a public hearing, 2 Biscayne Drive, for a variance under 195-9 conformity to build a new 2-car garage at his home on a corner lot that will not meet the side setback and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. I do not have a name here.
Brian Melissi.
Oh, Brian Mosey's here tonight? For 2 Biscayne, Brian?
Yep, and so is the, I'm here with Joe. Joe's not here, I'm here too.
Okay, typically your name was on here, I don't think, I don't know. Who was who?
To the bottom here,
Come up to the podium, one of you.
right here on this.
Yeah, okay. So if you want to give us an idea of what you have planned, Joseph, that'd be great.
Yeah, so there's a 2-car garage on the side of the house attached to the corner. You can see the setback from our neighbors is not met there, but I believe they're on the call as well. They sent a letter with approval as well. So we set the garage back a little bit and we angled it to go along their plot line, or their lot line as well. We also made it a little smaller than a regular 2-car garage to, so we didn't go against that, so we're not so far next to their lawn. We lived there 13 years. We've always wanted a garage. We're just looking to build one on. We have, elderly parents that come and visit. We want to get them out of that car safely, out of the elements, that sort of thing. We got young kids too. It's just easier to get in and out of cars when you have a garage for storage and things like that.
Pull up 2 Biscayne.
The neighbor's house is actually set back farther, so you don't really see that in the picture where it's not next to their structure. It's actually much further away than it appears on there.
Space there. Certainly an odd-shaped lot. So it's pre-existing, non-conforming, 6.5 feet from the lot line, which is a bit of a challenge, but it's pretty clear there. That is a unique shaped lot.
Yeah.
If I may, Mr. Chair, just add a couple of things.
Oh, certainly,
That's
Brian,
okay.
please.
So for the record, Brian Milisi with Whitman Big & Associates. Joe did a great job explaining, but a few of the more technical things we would like to point out is the lot is on a corner lot. It's at the corner of Biscayne and Kensington Drive. And if you look at it, it's kind of a little odd shaped in which that the property line, it's kind of square off of Biscayne, but kind of angles from Kensington, which kind of really reduces the amount of buildable area on the lot. I did want to point out that according to the assessor's records, the house was built in 1962, which doesn't afford us having to be able to go to the reduced offset table that the zoning has now, but the lots were created in 1959. And so if that bylaw said when the lots were created, we would be under the old zoning and some of the older offsets, or the less stringent offsets. But because the assessor's records say 1962, we just missed that cutoff. So it kind of adds to some of that, non-conformity, if you will. The lot's are only 23,000 square feet. Frontage is only 125 feet, which was the norm back in 1959 when those lots were created. As you can see, the house is kind of set square to Biscayne, which makes it really kind of an odd angle to Kensington, which is, I think, the reason why they really wanted to angle that garage, kind of keep it parallel with the property line. You know me, I'm an engineer, I love straight lines. The fact that, when they're describing it to their neighbor, they could say, well, the property line goes right along the side of the garage here. I think it's a great proposal. Just wanted to add a few of those items.
Does that make it a special permit? If it's
No, because I think it's,
It would be greater than 20%. If we were within 20% of that side setback, we could ask for a special permit rather than a variance. But because we're greater than 20%, we're stuck to actually asking for a variance.
No, I was thinking because of the year, if it were 1959. If it were 59, it would be,
what, the year the lot was created, but it's not recorded as such till it was sold.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the board of Mr. Melisi? Nancy, Steve, any questions? Okay, I'm going to read the letters in. 2 Biscayne Drive, the Board of Health has no concerns. 2 Biscayne Drive, the Center Water District has no concerns. Fire Department letter, Charlie. And they give us a letter. ZBA application for 2 Biscayne Drive. Dear members of the board, this office has reviewed the proposed addition at 2 Biscayne Drive and finds the following. As part of this project, a heat detector shall be installed in each garage bay. There must be also combination smoke carbon monoxide detectors present that is interconnected with the heat detectors within 20 feet of the door of the garage. All installed devices shall be hardwired and shall be interconnected with the existing home's fire protection. All smoke detectors and other life safety devices shall be marked on the plan prior to submission for a building permit. This department would approve the plan with these conditions. I ask the board to make this letter part of their approval process. Dan Kostafis, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. And that is all of my letters for 2 Biscayne. Can I ask if anyone in the audience would like to speak in favor or in opposition to this application? Anyone in Zoom also? I think the plan would be to turn your camera on if you wish to speak. Seeing no one in the live audience, is there anyone in Zoom that would like to speak? None? Looking for a motion to close the public hearing? Is someone looking to speak there?
My neighbor, I think he was trying to.
Oh, Matt Hubbard.
Yeah, I thought he was trying to talk.
Mr. Hubbard, would you like to speak? I believe you're muted. I don't know why, or... Are you muted on your computer?
Yeah, it's not muted in the meeting.
He did, I mean, if you can't get him, he did include a letter I forwarded to you in the email, so maybe you can read that. I'm sure that's probably what he's...
Let me go on the phone. We're still not hearing you, Mr. Hubbard. We have a letter. Would you like us to read that letter? We'll get through this. It's going to be a little awkward. Not better than the other way, I'll tell you that.
Let's see if this one is. No.
To the Town of Chelmsford Board of Appeals. J. Matthew Hubbard and my wife Elizabeth D. Hubbard of 41 Kensington Drive are the owners of the property adjacent to and impacted by the variance requested at 2 Biscayne Drive. We are in full support of Joseph Pajak's request for a variance under 195-9, conformity to build a new two-car garage on their corner lot home that will not meet the side setback or any other relief that may be deemed necessary. We will be in attendance of the remote public hearing tomorrow to pledge our full support for their project as well. Please reach out with any questions or pertinent information. J. Matthew Hubbard and Elizabeth D. Hubbard, 41 Kensington Drive, Chelmsford.
That's the butter next to the,
That's the butter on your right side, Rippy?
Yes, yeah,
The one that matters.
yeah.
Are there any other requested Zoom for a comment at this time? I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
And a second.
One second.
Second by Charlie. All in favor? Aye. Nancy? Unanimous? The public hearing is closed. Doesn't seem to be a lot of concern.
This is really a tough one, Brian. Like, there's no place to put the garage no matter where you go because of the 25-foot setback.
I agree. I agree. If you went to the other side, it wouldn't do you any good.
It's a terrible lot, sorry, so to speak.
I've heard that many times.
It's a tough one. Squeeze it right in.
We've done what we can to try to fit it in there.
Because of the shape of the lot, I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance 495-9 for conformity to build a two-car garage, and I realize they have made it smaller than a normal two-car garage,
Yeah, it's only 20 feet wide. I saw that too.
which helps.
I have a second to that motion.
I'll second.
Nancy seconds. All in favor? Aye.
am I voting?
Jamie? She keeps disappearing. There's Jamie.
Is
Okay.
everyone voting?
Would be 5.
Yes, I'm not voting.
It's unanimous. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Good luck with it. Good luck. I'll have to step in for you, Steve, with the good lucks.
Yeah.
I figured since I'm remote, I'll let the guy in the room handle it.
Just temporarily, though. Maybe we'll see you next month. Our next hearing is 171 Park Road, Douglas Mix, for a special permit under 195-6, a limited accessory apartment, to build a new space for a limited accessory apartment, and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. Is Mr. Mix with us this evening? Oh, are you done? How you doing? Good. Good. You want to tell us just your name and address and a little bit about the project?
Douglas Mix, I actually live on 25 El Dorado Road. My mother, Cheryl Mix, is 171 Park Road.
Is she from Bedford?
She is.
I know her from many years ago.
She's on Zoom, I believe. So she's probably gonna say hi now.
That's so funny.
No, next door neighbor.
I recognize the Mix name, and of course there was no Luceraria in there, so.
That's right, that's right. That's me. It's my house.
Yes. They were my next door neighbors growing up.
That's right.
Okay, can I continue?
Please do, yeah.
I said my family and I would like to move into her house. I built her in there. That's what the LA is. I believe we conform with all of the bylaws. The only thing I have to say is it does measure out to 797 square feet, the proposed LAA, but the prior building inspector, building commissioner, I don't think he's still here, Sean Shanahan. He had emailed me and said that closet space wouldn't count, so the master closet
Closet, stair, and entry, I believe, is the...
So if you take off the 64 square feet for the master closet, it comes under the 750.
Great.
So but the architect wrote 797 on the plans.
The actual square footage.
Yeah. And there's also a garage addition that will be underneath, that'll be bigger than the actual addition.
Right, but not part of the in-law.
No.
Yep, okay.
There's a garage going underneath it.
Any questions of Mr. Mix? Seeing none, are there any questions in the Zoom regarding this application? Nancy, Steve? No? Okay, I'll read the letters in. For 171 Park Road, Board of Health has no comments. The Fire Department, the Town of Chelmsford, dear members of the Board, this officer reviewed the proposed limited accessory apartment at 171 Park Road, finds the following. The entire home shall be upgraded to comply with the latest edition of the Massachusetts State Building Code for smoke, heat, carbon monoxide detectors. The proponent shall submit plans for review to the Fire Prevention Office via the Town of Chelmsford online permitting portal. All smoke, carbon monoxide, and heat detectors required shall be marked on the plans prior to submission for review. This department is concerned that as more than one dwelling on a property, that the occupancy would be identifiable from the street. This office will require 2 mailboxes identifying the property as 171 Park Road and 171A Park Road. The applicant make an application for the addresses to Chelmsford E911 Committee and its coordinator, Town Clerk Tricia Druez. The department is not interested in official change of address being recorded on the deed. It is only our intent to distinguish this home to emergency responders. This office would approve this plan with these conditions. I ask the board to make this letter part of their approval process. Dan Kostofis, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. The Center Water District has no comments. And that is the end of my letters again. Now, are there any questions or comments from the audience regarding this application? Seeing none, is there any on Zoom? Seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second by Peter. All in favor? Aye. Nancy and Steve?
Aye.
Unanimous? There's no dimensional problems, there's no issues, so we can take this up right now. In the form of a motion?
Make a motion for 171 Park Road for a special permit under Article 185-6.1 for a limited access apartment with consideration of our letters read into record.
I have a second. Second by Peter. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Peter, Nancy? Oh, Jamie, why do you keep disappearing? Unanimous. Yeah, she disappeared earlier on the screen.
I'm here.
Approval, it passes. Good luck with it. Okay, thank you. Say hi to your mom.
I will. Will do.
Thanks. Great lady. Don't steal that from me.
Just else, right? I can't remember my name, so.
Next here is 22 Dalton Road, Joshua Abbott. For a variance under 195A, non-conforming uses and structures to build an addition on a corner lot that will not meet the front setback and may be deemed necessary.
It's,
Okay, thank you. I have,
Good, good.
I have a stamp.
it's in here.
Okay.
Yep, just wanted to make sure we got it. Good evening, if you want to tell us about your name and address and a little bit about what you plan to do?
Yep, it's Joshua Abbott, 222 Dalton Road. Planning a 20 by 26 addition to the side of our home, towards the Evergreen Street side of the lot. And we're seeking relief from the zoning. It's 25 feet, and this would be 18 feet. Because it's a side, corner lot, we would need that relief.
Yeah, the 25-foot setback.
It's right here.
Yeah, 18.
And it's kind of a strange, I think Dalton Road used to come down a little bit further. Everybody drives by, I think.
Are you across from the cannon, is that where you are?
What's that?
Across from the cannon?
Right down the street from that. I'm
down the
across
street.
from, if you come up out of Staples, you could drive right across into my front yard.
Okay, okay.
That actually looks like Chelmsford Street on the
Yeah.
strike, but it's not. It's, I looked it up on the map today. Yeah.
Another tricky lot.
Yeah.
There's Market Basket.
Right, so, okay, then it's Evergreen and then the first house. The cannon's a little farther down. Does the board have any questions of the applicant?
I was just wondering if we could do a special permit and make the addition a little smaller. Has that ever been, ever think about that?
We did consider that, but for the living space that we're looking to add, we'd like to go to for the variance.
Well, we have to get to 21,
20, right?
20, isn't that?
20%, 25?
Yeah, it's 20, right?
I don't think so.
Yes, it's 20.
It is?
Yep.
Steve? 20?
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm looking up the wrong one. Built in 1940.
2 years.
Well, but the zone, I can pull up the zoning too.
1940, the zoning should be different, correct?
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up for you.
Okay.
To 54.
It's a 10-foot.
Oh, but Evergreen is considered frontage, huh?
He's got two fronts.
Yeah,
Right.
Oh, that's,
so that's why I'm seeking that relief.
Which is hard.
That is a hardship. 2 fronts.
if it was a side, would he be, if it was a side, would he be, he'd be fine, right?
More than fine.
Yeah,
Probably 8 feet.
yeah.
Right, 2 feet. That's a lot to take off that room, though. That's a lot to take off that room.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Let's think about that a little. Steve, Jamie, Nancy, do you have any questions?
I'm good.
So are you saying that the 2 fronts is the hardship in this situation?
was
Is that what was
floated.
being discussed a second ago?
It's been floated, yeah. I mean, I think
Okay.
that does create a bit of a hardship. The setback on the side would have been 10, and he would have been fine. So when you have the second frontage, it is a hardship.
In order to meet the 20-foot, he'd have to go to a 17-foot addition instead of 20 by 25, it'd be 17.
By 25.
Okay.
That's a lot to take off the house. Well, let's see if there's any concerns. Is anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor or opposition to this application? Seeing none, is there anyone on Zoom who would like to speak in favor or opposition to this application? There's a ton of people on Zoom.
There is,
I don't know what they have for. Oh, I know what they have for.
35.
Seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public hearing?
Before we do that, Brian, could I just,
Absolutely.
it says here, survey, no stamp.
But we do have a survey, we do have a certified plot plan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think.
Did you get my agenda? I wrote it, I can't find my notes on my agenda. Keep an eye on me.
Would you please?
So now I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
I'll second the motion.
Nancy seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Unanimous. So, being a variance, we have to have a hardship. I think the only logical one would be the hardship of having two frontages and not a side setback, which would qualify him to have the structure as it sits if it was not for Evergreen Street being frontage. I don't know if everybody feels that's acceptable as a hardship, but we'll find out with a vote.
I agree with you, Brian. I think the corner lot poses the hardship, and it seems okay with me.
Well, why don't we call that a motion? I'm sorry, I might have letters here. I do. I have the Board of Health at 222 Dalton has no concerns. The Fire Department has reviewed the proposed addition at 222 Dalton Road and finds the following. The entire home, existing and new construction, shall be equipped with life safety systems as required by 780 CMR 51, standard for new construction at the time of application for a building permit. The home shall have hardwired interconnected smoke, carbon monoxide, and heat detectors in all required locations. The applicant shall upload a plan showing all life safety devices to the building permit application. This office would approve this addition with these conditions, and I ask that the board make this letter part of their approval process. Dan Christophas, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. I have a letter from Center Water District citing no comments. And I don't know who I'm missing, but that is all the letters I have. Now I can look towards a motion, I think.
You have the motion, Nancy.
You want to put that in a motion form, Nancy?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve 222 Dalton Road variance under 195-8 to build an addition, finding that the corner lot is a hardship.
I'll second that.
Second by Charlie. All in favor? Aye. Erin? Nancy says aye. Stephen is no?
Yeah.
No? The motion passes 4-1. Steve dissenting.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck with it.
Good luck.
Moving right along. I Next application is 3 Indian Drive, Kenneth Simard, for a variance on the 195-9 conformity to build a new 3-season porch that will not meet the side yard setback and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. Letters.
Good evening. Ken Salad. I'm here tonight with Jane Ann Kay, homeowner of 3 Indian Drive. We are proposing to do a 3-season porch, which has a footprint that is pretty close to the existing deck that's on the house, that's been on the house for like 30 years. The only difference is the existing deck comes off to the side 43 inches. And that makes it a little narrow accessing the back room to the sitting area. So we just want to bump that out to 48 inches, just a matter of 5 inches, getting us out there so that we have a little more room getting to the back of the 3-season porch.
But this would be pre-existing non-conforming then.
Right.
Simple enough. If it's pre-existing, wouldn't that be a special permit?
Maybe it's a couple of inches,
Yeah.
inch and a half. Would you go for 2 inches?
No, right, what are you gonna adjust it, yeah. Any questions from the board regarding this application?
Is it not pre-existing non-conforming? The 6 inches actually leave
The
it.
deck would make it pre-existing non-conforming,
Yeah,
but I don't know that that gets him any further relief from the setback proper. So he's increasing the non-conformity in the direction of the non-conformity. He's making it, he's not going parallel to it, he's going perpendicular to it. So it is an increase in the non-conformity, so it would be a variance, I believe.
Can I just get this, Jamie? Can I just get clarification? I didn't really understand. Are you converting an open deck into an enclosed 3-season family room? Is that what it is?
The deck's 30 years old, so we're demolishing the existing deck, putting in all new preformed frost posts, footings, new frame, and going up. The existing structure.
So it's going to be a deck to a closed, it's going to go from an open deck, from a deck to an enclosed structure, correct?
Yeah, well, yes, it's going to be enclosed with all windows around the sides and, cathedral ceiling inside.
Okay. So Chairman, my question is, that would be my question, doesn't this change from the conformity pre-existing, non-pre-existing, when they're demolishing and converting from a deck to an enclosed structure? Isn't it really adding an addition at that point? I mean, what is the defining?
They own the footprint that they have now. That's an existing, whether it's enclosed or open, it's still a footprint. So they're basically adding the wall that's not there now to make reasonable passage next to the house. I mean, literally, they're adding the width of the wall, I think.
Yeah, basically within an inch or
Close
so.
to it.
Okay. Okay, that's what I just wasn't, I couldn't really understand.
It's an open deck or an enclosed deck, it's the same footprint.
Okay.
But he is adding to that footprint, like 6 inches, is it?
5 inches, actually.
Yeah.
5 inches.
so if he wasn't adding 5 inches, he wouldn't be here at all. He could just,
You could do this by
he
right.
could do it, yeah. So it's just the
It's just, by the time you put the wall on that 43 inch, you
Too
gotta
narrow.
put a coat hook or something, a little bench to get in and take your shoes off, just makes it too narrow.
Yep. And that's why it's not a special permit, because it's already non-conforming. He's already too close. Are there any, why don't I read the letters first? Regarding 3 Indian Drive, Fire Prevention has no comments. The Board of Health has no comments. And Center Water District has no comments. That's all the letters. Does the board have any further questions, Mr. Sennard? Seeing none, does anyone in the audience have any questions regarding this application? Seeing none, does anyone on Zoom have any questions regarding this application? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
I'll second.
Second by Aaron. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nancy, Steve, and Jamie, all affirm. The public hearing is closed.
Since this is just about, it's already pre-existing non-conforming, we're bringing it up 5 more inches. It's making the house much safer, so to speak, and I don't see any other way to do it other than putting that foundation. So I suggest we approve this variance for 3 Indian Drive under 195-9 conformity.
One question, Charlie. I also like the idea, but where is the hardship in this variance? I mean, I agree it's only 5 inches, but for a variance, there needs to be a hardship defined somewhere.
Can we go with placement of the house? I mean, I don't know if that's the correct terminology.
You would not have reasonable access without it, I think. So, placement of the house sounds like a
They made that one up.
good one. I'm gonna write it down for the next
It's
time.
been used before.
I mean, honestly, I don't think there's any concerns with adding 5 inches to an existing structure. As much as I don't like to give a variance without a good hardship, I think that, in this case, literally, you couldn't build it unless you granted the variance. It just is, you're gonna, you're not gonna have any kind of handicapped access there.
Exactly.
Should you need it, you wouldn't be able to get a you'd have to go to a 2-6 door. It would be a bit of a hardship.
Well, it sounds like the existing deck needs to be flipped down anyways, if it's that.
Yeah, it's 30 years old,
That's
it's probably lived
yeah.
its life.
Maybe it's a safety issue to not do something with it. Be a hardship.
Any more clarification, Steve?
Nope.
I guess I'll ask for a second on this motion.
I'll second.
Steve seconds. All in favor? And Steve, you're voting against? 4-1? I understand it. I agree with it, but I understand it. Motion passes 4-1. Good luck with it.
All right, thank you very much.
Next, application 125 Western Street, Derek Jones, for a variance under 195 nonconformity to build a storage room onto the back of his garage that will not meet the side setback and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. Is Mr. Jones here or on Zoom this evening?
I'm on Zoom.
Good evening. Just get your name and address and a little description of what you intend to do.
Sure. Derek Jones, 125 Westford Street. I noticed on the link that was sent out that the plan was actually for, I think it was 222 Dalton. So I can always share my screen, or if you guys have the ability to pull that up.
Yeah, is that the right?
Yeah, well, what's the address?
It's 125 Westford Street, right in the middle. A couple up.
Then.
Sorry about
Yep,
that.
that's it. Yep, thank you. Yeah, so I'm requesting a variance for the side setback to basically build a storage room off the back of my garage. So right now, from a hardship standpoint, based on, you can kind of see the property boundaries, I have an odd-shaped piece of land, as well as mentioned earlier, the placement of the house being kind of so far to the left. I also have a pretty large easement on the right side of the property that, essentially I can't do anything over there. Right now, the corner of my property is 19 feet from the property line, and in doing this storage room, that will bring it to 17 feet. And that's really much due to the angle of the lot. You can see it, kind of tapers in. My neighbor on that side of the house is 144 feet from my property line, so pretty substantial distance. And he's also provided, him and his wife provided a letter supporting my request.
Excellent. We can certainly look at lock shape for this one, for sure. And it's really, I mean, you've already reduced it a fair amount to accommodate it.
Correct, yeah, originally it was going to be bigger, but due to the location of the property line, we scaled that back a little bit.
Did you have the letter from the neighbor?
Oh, it's in there.
That's good.
Yeah, it was in the first attachment, George Oslin and his wife.
Does the board have any questions regarding this application?
I do not.
Jamie, no? Nance?
Wait. You need it?
Yeah. Chelmsford Board of Appeals regarding 125 Westford Street, Chelmsford, Mass. Derek Jones, George Oslin and Deborah A. Oslin residing at 129 Westford Street, abutters to the 125 Westford Street, would be in favor of granting of a variance on the proposed project as referenced in the plot plan dated April 5th, 2021 by Aho Surveying of Drake, Mass. for the property of Derek Jones, who resides at 125 Western Street. As such, we are of the opinion that granting of the variance would not affect the abutting party adversely and would not be detrimental to the neighborhood. Respectfully yours, George Oslin and Deborah Oslin. I'll read the other letters, one of the reading letters. 125 Westford Street, Derek Jones. There's no comments from the Board of Health. Fire Prevention Office, dear members of the board, this office will review the proposed addition at 24 Fenwick. We'll set that aside.
Actually.
Oh, so it's just a typo there. Okay, so it is for 125 Western Street. This officer reviewed the proposed addition at 125 Western Street, finds the following. Fire Prevention Office considers this addition to garage space. All smoke detectors and other life safety devices shall be marked on the plan prior to submission for a building permit. As part of this project, a heat detector shall be installed in each garage bay. There must also be a combination smoke carbon monoxide detector present that is interconnected with the heat detectors within 20 feet of a garage door. All installed devices shall be hardwired, shall be interconnected with the existing home's fire protection. This department approved this plan with these conditions. I ask the board to make this letter part of their approval process. Center Water has no comments. And that is the end of my letters. Oh, the Board of Health has no comments.
Hey, Brian, just as a note, I'd like the setback to be the same as it was before, 19, if that could be possible. Because isn't it 19 and then 17 and a half?
Keep it equal is no more
Yeah,
non-conforming.
right.
Well, I think, so you're saying to make it 19 feet from instead of the 17.2?
Yes.
Yeah, so that would bring it back 2 feet and basically make it kind of unusable, from a size perspective, plus on top of the cost, it's gonna, it's gonna take to build this out. So that's kind of, we had scaled it back actually 4 feet shorter and 2 feet narrower already, just based on the current, lot size and where the property line is. I think making it any smaller would render it kind of ineffective.
Okay.
So the minute you make it wider, you increase your encroachment and to make it any longer, you would obviously increase it.
Correct, yep. Yeah, so originally it was going to be aligned with the side of the house, but, you know, clearly that's a lot closer, so we'd already kind of scaled it considerably back from our original, you know, idea.
Do you know what year your house was built?
1971.
No, it's not going to help us.
Show the area.
You don't know?
It's a sharp angle.
Yeah, it's kind of shaped like a number 7 as you come in, so it tapers back pretty substantially.
Certainly there's a lot of room between you and your neighbor.
Yeah, it's about 144 feet from the corner of his house to the property line. About 50 yards.
That is the weirdest lot, right? That's the very strange.
Yeah, and the downside is there's a substantial easement on the right that essentially makes everything to the right of the house kind of unbuildable.
Right.
And then everything from the corner point back is basically all kind of wetlands.
Well, let's let that soak a little. Are there any further questions from the board regarding this application? Jamie?
No?
I'm going to ask in the audience, if anyone would like to speak in favor or opposition to this application? Seeing none? Does anyone in Zoom like to speak in favor or opposition to this application? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing, Brian.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Stephen? So, it is a difficult lot to do anything else with, and I can understand the concern of shrinking what isn't a really large addition further.
Yeah, it's 210 square feet, give or take, so it's pretty small.
I'm okay with this one. I don't. I can find hardships in this one, so I'm.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very difficult lot. It's, at its 210 square feet, it's completely invisible from the road. There's really no downside other than it is closer than it should be and does require a variance. I think we can clearly use lot size, lot shape as a unit to do that, so.
Got an easement on the other side, so he's restricted there as well.
Yeah, there's really no other option for an addition, and it's not a large one. So that sounds like a motion.
It does.
Okay, I will make a motion for to approve the variance for 125 Westford Road under 195-9 to build a storage room onto the back of the garage that will not meet the side setback, and any other relief deemed necessary with regard to the letters read into the record.
I'd like to second that, please.
Charlie seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nancy, Steve, Jamie?
Good.
5-0, unanimous. Good luck with it, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Moving right along, finally a special permit. 60 Mill Road, James Hamilton for a special permit under 195-61, a limited accessory apartment to build new space for a limited accessory apartment and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so our plan is to...
Your name and address for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Jim Hamilton, 60 Mill Road, Chelmsford.
Thank you.
We have, we had an old barn that we tore down. It was getting old and actually a safety hazard. And just recently, we have a family member that's kind of dealing with health issues and have decided to build this limited accessory apartment. The original footprint of the barn, we're going to add to the footprint a little bit just for living space. So like the gentleman said on Parker, our original plan came out to 796 square feet. But I was told that the common areas, such as the laundry room that connects the two houses, closets, and a workshop that I have on the side.
Right, and entrance as well.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't the one with the elevator.
Yeah.
That one was pretty large. I think that was Park Road.
Is it your writing here?
I'm sorry.
So do you have the 790? Do you have plans for those? I didn't,
I did, yeah, I sent some plans in, yeah.
okay. Can you get a hold of those?
It was after the fact, so when I had submitted my plot plan, we were changing it over. I was told to change over so that it matched that. It's now 745 square feet.
Okay. That's really what we want to make sure of.
That may be the
So
original.
the workshop itself is not part of the in-law?
No.
Okay. How's that confusion today, Peter?
Yeah.
But the closet, the mudroom,
Right, you can remove that, the 6'4" by,
Just consider common laundry.
so we have 743 square feet, which is under our limit, so that's good. The laundry can be removed, the mudroom can be removed.
Workshop.
Peter, did you want to take a look at this? Aaron, do you want to look at this? This didn't make it to digital format.
Oh, so where is it? Let me look. This is the apartment?
Right, so this is the apartment here. Weird, this is, I think, connected. The living room, the bedroom, the entryway, and the laundry, which does not count. This closet does not count, this workshop does not count. It's the space there.
This is the apartment.
Yes.
So they're putting, is it where the barn was?
Yes, it expands on that with the workshop.
Sorry, when you were talking about the workshop earlier.
yeah, Colleen, I think I sent that to you on May 24th.
In the email?
Yeah.
It's not part of the LOA.
Yeah.
The site.
What should
Addition to the
this?
home or common.
My email, Hambone66. You'll pick that one right out.
It's a nice little accessory apartment.
Yeah. Did you get the better from the Brady Lane? Brady Lane, did you get that numbers? Oh, yeah. I can put it up right there. I can't find anything out there, but I think Charlie took it.
And even though we're increasing the footprint a little bit, of course, for living space, but we meet all the setbacks, and I mean, there's plenty of space.
Okay, so I have a couple letters here that I'm going to read in, as well as the town's letters. This is from Stanley Powell. My wife and I live at 1 Grady Drive. Maybe we could find that on the locust. And our property abuts 60 Mill Road on two sides. The following are my thoughts and concerns regarding the request at 60 Mill Road for a limited accessory apartment scheduled for the June 3rd Board of Appeals meeting. We do and will support improvements to the properties as they increase the quality of the property, the neighborhood, and the town. We believe that Mill Road and nearby roads, Turnpike, and others in the local area have been overdeveloped to the point that Mill Road is not being honored as a scenic road as intended by Chapter 130 of the town bylaws. I did try to find that bylaw. I did not succeed. The plan as submitted is inadequate to evaluate the intended addition. Looking at the plot plan, the addition appears to be as large or larger than the existing house. It is not clear how much living space is being requested. I think that has been clarified. And how many additional people and cars are being requested. So just for the record, is it one person?
Yeah, it's just one person. It's my sister.
Do they drive?
Yeah, they do.
So one car, we would assume.
Yeah, I have a driveway that fits 7 cars.
Okay. This is a question your neighbor has, so I'm hoping he's watching on.
And the other thing that we've done, and we've done it for ourselves as well as the community, is we're making the building look like the barn.
Yeah.
So we're putting a barn door in the front of it that's basically just siding, but it keeps it...
the appearance of a barn door.
Yeah.
Yep. It is not clear from the plan or documents what is intended to be built in the property and what is the intended use. The phrase "and other relief that may be deemed necessary," although common in such requests, in this case is open-ended and unbounded. We are opposed to granting the request at this time. We hope that further data will serve to address our concerns. We ask that you take our concerns into account when evaluating this request. Stan Powers and Jan Powers of 1 Grady Drive. So hopefully we've answered some of the questions. Are the Powers on Zoom by any chance, or in the audience, actually?
Yes, we are.
Do you have any other questions for the applicant, sir? Have we answered some of them for you?
We've answered certainly some of them. I think the biggest concern I had was not seeing anything other than a plot plan as to what was actually going to happen there. So and still haven't seen anything other than a plot plan, but if at least the board is happy with that, then I certainly don't object to improving the property.
So they have shown us what they plan to do. The facade is going to be like a barn with barn doors that will not operate, I think. There's a workshop plan to the right side of it as you face the street. The in-law will be behind that. And there's also an entryway from the main house going in there. The total square footage for the in-law is 743 square feet, which is less than our 750 maximum requirement. So it does fit the needs and the size the town has requested.
I think at that point, I got nothing else I should object to, let's put it that way. I do have one administrative question for this board. For whatever reason, we never received a notice about this meeting. I don't know whether it slipped up in the system or the mailman slipped up, but I found out from a neighbor at a very late date.
And you were 1 Grady, so you are, the abutter list to 60 Mill Road, you are on the list. Powers Stanley J. trustee and Janice K. Powers trustee. So you were on the list. I can't explain why you didn't receive it. You were listed as an abutter, and that would mean that it was mailed to you. Whether the post office...
administrative shit than anything else. I'm not accusing anybody of anything other than...
I understand. I just want you to be aware that the town did mail you the item.
Yeah.
It's not for any reason that it's not there. Yeah. The post office.
Blame the post office, it's easy.
Yes, I know. I do have 2 other letters that were given to me. John Swenson will be out of town and asked me to read this letter to the Board of Appeals. I'm writing this letter to wish Jim and his wife Susan good luck on the project ahead of them. I and my wife Susan see nothing wrong in the addition. They are building. Good luck. Thank you, John and Susan Swenson, 50 Mill Road. I got another letter from John. Brian, my mother will be 90 years old on 6/6/21, so she doesn't do computers. Pretty amazing, though, I gotta say. As a neighbor of James Hamilton, I approve and wish him success in his petition to expand his present residence. Sincerely, Patricia Swenson, 52 Mill Road, Chelmsford. And her handwriting is better than mine.
Is it in cursive?
Impressive.
Is it in cursive?
Actually,
Because that would really,
she went.
there we go, there's some cursive. That's,
The old word.
love it.
There's my notes. You're off the hook, Shirley. So at this point, I'm going to read the letters from the town. No comments from the Board of Health. I have my little novel from the Fire Department. Proposed limited accessory apartment at 60 Mill Road. This office reviewed the proposed limited accessory apartment at 60 Mill Road and finds the following. The entire home shall be upgraded to comply with the latest edition of the Massachusetts State Building Code for smoke, heat, and carbon monoxide detectors. The proponent shall submit plans for review to the Fire Prevention Office via the Town of Chelmsford online permitting portal. All smoke, carbon monoxide, or heat detectors required shall be marked on the plans prior to submission for review. The department is concerned that if there's more than one dwelling on a property, then that occupancy should be identifiable from the street. This office will require 2 mailboxes identifying the property as 60 Mill Road and 60A Mill Road. The applicant shall apply for addresses to the Chelmsford E91 Committee and its coordinator, Town Clerk Tricia Druez. This department is not interested in official change of address being recorded on the deed. It is only our intent to distinguish this home to emergency responders. This office would approve of this plan with these conditions. I ask the board make this letter part of their approval process. Respectfully, Dan Kostofis, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. A letter from the Board of Health on 60 Mill Road, citing no comments and nothing from water. As the letters, and ask if anyone in the audience would like to speak in favor or opposition to this application at this time. Seeing none, does anyone on the Zoom like to speak in favor or opposition to this application? Seeing none, I'll ask for a
Motion to close the public hearing, Brian?
thank you, Charlie.
Welcome.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Aaron. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Nancy, Steve, and Jamie.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the special permit under 191-6.1 for a limited access apartment at 60 Mill Road.
I have a second.
Second to the motion.
Jamie?
Yes, sir.
No, like I couldn't tell who was speaking. All in favor? All right. Nancy, Steve, and Jamie, all in favor? Charlie in favor? It's unanimous? Good luck with it.
That's great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's see how that is. We are up to 3 Dominic Drive, Kathleen Broga, for a variance under 195-9 conformity for an after-the-fact variance for a sunroom that does not meet the side setback and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. Is Kathleen or someone speaking for her? Oh, good evening. Looking all over the place here. There you are. So, and after the fact, the sunroom has been constructed?
Yes, it's actually a screen porch. I had a patio on the house for like 25 years. Decided during the COVID pandemic, it'd be nice to have a screen porch. Had a nice contractor come over, tell me a long, nice story about how difficult it is to get a permit. So he built it in 2 weeks. So I'm here tonight to beg forgiveness and potentially sleep better at night.
That's a
It's a sad story, I know.
Oh, they are.
It's 15 by 15. You can see it's a little close to my side lot there. The house next to me really isn't that close to my property. There's some trees and bushes in between our property, so they're really not right on top of me.
So we had a pre-existing non-conforming at 20'4" and 20'2" on the other side. And now we have a son at 15.5.
It's already built. Holy shit.
Of course, it's not showing it, so.
Brian, can I just ask a question? Is there a fine for doing this? Does the contractor get a fine, or does the homeowner get a fine, or what happens?
This is the first time I've seen a, after-the-fact request for a variance that I know of.
I did a little bit of research online to find out whether I'd go to jail, and I think you can charge me more for the permit, up to 3 times the cost of the permit.
Up to 3 times.
I remember we had one on First Street, and I think that's what happened.
There was a fine of the cost of the permit.
Triple the permit.
Right.
That's it, I think the triple was new. Oh, he was on the line, on the Zoom?
Oh, okay.
If you'd like to chime in, that would be awesome.
Jose, can you chime in on this?
Of course, can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah. I heard something about 3 times the fee.
But we're just trying to understand if there is a penalty involved with this construction. I can see how this happened, and COVID was a very difficult time.
Usually if it's the contractor, I do try to enforce it. But if it's the homeowner, especially in a situation like hers, I don't think I will enforce the 3 times the fee.
Thank you, Jose.
You don't have to go to jail. You don't go to jail.
Thank you, Charlie.
Keep you out of the big house. Are there any questions from the board regarding this application, or any thoughts on what is appropriate?
I have a question. So it's already built, two things. So you had the existing porch and you added to it?
So it's an existing patio.
It was a patio. I had a patio there
Not a
for 25
structure.
years.
A patio is different than, if it was a deck, she really wouldn't have had a problem. It's that it was a patio.
So a patio is different than a deck?
Correct. It's not a structure. It's surface. So, I mean, literally, in enforcement of this would require her to tear it down.
I guess my other question is how is it to be that, how did it come to be that you are here now after it's built? What transpired that's causing you to be here now, I guess? I'm just curious.
Well, I went on the internet to find out what would happen if I did not get this properly permitted, and I found out if you try to sell your home, then you run into a lot of issues. Not that I'm trying to sell my home, I've lived there 25 years and intend to die in that house, but I thought, as an upstanding citizen of the Chelmsford town, I should do the right thing and get this done. I got talked into a bad decision.
Okay. Thank you.
Can appreciate that.
So does the building commissioner contact the contractor and attempt to find them in a situation like this?
I don't know.
Do we find out who the contractor was? Does someone contact him and
So,
slap
two
him on the
things
wrist or
happen when you don't
something?
pull a permit. He didn't, of the, yes.
In a situation like this, if she signed the contract, I have ground to go after the contractor and fine him for doing work without a permit. Unfortunately, this happens very often. Some contractors, they know what they're doing, and if they can talk the owners out of getting a building permit, they will. Some reasons might be that they are not licensed or insured, so they know they can get a permit on their own. So if they can build a structure quick and make the money, that's what they do. At this situation, if he sign a contract with the owner, then we have ground to go after him and find him.
But in this situation, there's no contract.
Did you sign a contract? No.
Yeah, there's no contract here. I'm sorry, there's no contract here in this situation, right? Yeah.
No, it was all handshake, or I guess that's
He knows how the system works.
Yeah, if there is no contract, then he has person's name, he could lose his HIC, Home Improvement Contractor Certificate,
Assuming that he had it.
assuming that he has it, that's correct.
The HIC would give you some protection. If he had pulled a permit and something was wrong, you'd be able to recoup some of that money that was lost.
I take
Are
responsibility.
you happy with the work? Is
Yeah,
it,
he did a great job. He really did. But I take responsibility for the decision, and I'll pay whatever.
I will tell you, I think COVID had a lot of effect on that. It was just
did.
really hard to get information and understand how it was working. I know more than once the entire building department shut down because of COVID scares. So, you know, it was just a difficult time. I have no letters on this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Susan.
I do have letters. Reading the letters, there are no concerns from the Center Water District for 13 Dominic. There are no comments from the Board of Health on 13 Dominic. And there are no comments from the Fire Prevention Office. So,
Chairman, I just have one more question. For the homeowner, do you have any documentation or proof that you purchased, that this was built during the COVID, or the peak of the COVID, or when exactly this was built?
It was built in August, late August, early September. I don't have any documentation to prove that.
she is here of her own accord, so.
Just thought I'd ask.
Yeah,
No, it's a
I
reasonable
came in for
question.
my whipping.
Don't smile so much.
I know. Oh, no.
Look sad, look sad. So I will go into the audience to see if anyone has questions or comments regarding this application. Seeing none, does anyone on Zoom have a question or concern regarding this application? Seeing none, I think we would look to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the
Peter makes a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Second by Charlie. I don't know what to say. It's unfortunate, but I can't see ask this woman to tear it down. She's happy with the work. It's just someone knew the system and probably took advantage of the fact that it was COVID to avoid all the headaches with permitting, which are real but necessary. That's just my opinion.
Took advantage of an old woman.
Told you, be sad. Would anyone like to make a motion? It is a,
So we need to find a hardship for this still?
Yeah, this is a variance, correct?
it is a variance.
Yeah, it's close to the side lot.
Okay.
We'll pull it up and see if there's a, is that it there? Yeah.
It's 13.
62 as well? Just misses.
Yeah.
Certainly look at the locus if we could and see if there's... I mean, I don't know the right or wrong here, but it is an unusual lot shape. It does shrink as it goes from the front to the rear, creating a difficult place to put the room. I think the penalty of not approving the variance would be severe for this woman, so.
Financial hardship.
What is the penalty of not approving the variance?
If there's a financial hardship, she'll have to pay to rip the thing down again, after she just paid to put it up. I feel like the financial hardship would be the biggest.
would she actually have to take it down, or would it just be that issue when she sells the house thing that was discussed?
At some point or another, it would be an illegal structure. So I think whether it was now or at some point in the future, she would need to tear it down. I mean, I don't know that she could leave it up now that it's, there's knowledge of it. I don't know what the building inspector would say about that.
I don't want to influence on the board's decision on this matter, but after you make the decision, then I would advise the owner further.
Yeah.
So here's I guess the question would be to the building inspector, if you have knowledge of an illegal structure, would you advise the homeowner to immediately have that structure removed from the property?
No.
Okay. Do they have like a time period when they have to remove an illegal unpermitted structure?
If it doesn't meet the setbacks, I will give them due process to go before the board. And depending on what the board decides, then I will take it from there. If the board decides that it's okay, then the owner will have to, in this case, Madam, here present, will have to apply for the building permit as a homeowner. Unfortunately, if we can go after the contractor who did the work. If we can go after the contractor, then we'll make him responsible for obtaining the building permit. But if that's not the case, then you still have to obtain the building permit.
But if she is not able to obtain the variance and the building permit, would she be forced to tear down the building?
Unfortunately, that will be the last option.
Okay.
So she could come back again?
If it's denied tonight, the building inspector really wouldn't have much choice but to have it taken down because it's an illegal structure.
Okay.
If she gets the variance, then it would be a process where she goes to the building inspector, applies for a building permit, pays the fees, and if there's a fine, would pay the fine, and then have it inspected and made sure it was a safe structure. It's a bad spot.
I came originally to get it inspected. I came and talked to the inspector, and that was when he had me talking to Colleen about, you're too close, you can't talk to me yet, you've got to talk to her, and then come back to me. So this was step one to get there.
Okay.
Just as a little thought, when I was home, all those times you guys are having Zoom meetings, I always thought COVID would get into our daily routine somehow.
Yeah.
And I thought something like this would happen.
Well, we're probably not the only one.
No, we're not going to be the only ones, that's for sure. So I thought of a little name for it. And I call it the COVID Era Variance Dilemma Shortcut.
Is that one of the 3 proofs for a variance?
That's going to be my definition of the variance for approval.
That sounds a little like...
I know it's like the law because it's COVID, but COVID wasn't a normal thing. It was just, what was it? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't think there's any intent to...
No, obviously it is not.
No, I don't think a lot of people come in and do this.
With
I
that
know
in
when
mind,
spoke to
I
the
realize...
inspector, he's like, what are you doing?
We're going to hang it on lot shape, but I would be in favor of a variance being granted.
Yes.
And lot shape being acceptable, it does shrink as it goes to the rear yard. It's just a matter of deciding whether, not granting the variance is the right thing to do. I don't think this would have happened, I can't say without COVID, but I don't think this would have happened with a little care. And it was very difficult for me, who contacts on a pretty regular basis building departments, to get any information or, at times they were closed for a week and 10 days at a time. It was just easy to slide in there, and I think that's what happened. I think someone took advantage of the system, knew they were and wanted to work, which I can respect, but this is not how you do it, and this is the problem that we have now.
Is the building inspector aware of the builder, who built it for you?
No.
No? Okay.
That's not our issue, so we can, we don't need to know or deal with that.
Right.
But it does seem relevant, right? Like, you don't kind of want the contractor to be running around town building things for people.
Well, within the
Willy-nilly and being like, you can
that's
just
what
go
I'm getting
after
at.
it with
Within the
that.
motion, apply, grant the variance, but with stipulation that the contractor is contacted by our building commissioner or
Yeah.
something like that. I mean, I don't know, can you do that? Because, I mean, how does he not just do it
The gentleman
again?
I hired was rough around the edges.
I mean, somebody should at least let the guy know.
He's a guy that I don't know
FYI,
that
if
I
you didn't
want
already know.
Right.
to irritate. If you catch
Yeah, but somebody should let him know, like FYI, in case you didn't already know. You have to
I
go through
think
the
she's a
due
little
process.
concerned for the repercussions of,
I like my pets. I don't want them poisoned.
Oh, yeah.
Guy I
see.
don't reckon, he was a nice guy, but
yeah.
a rough guy.
Okay.
So I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
What do we think about a motion here?
I can't make it.
I'd like to make a motion and for two reasons, for the lot shape and because of the COVID era, I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance for 13 Dominic Drive under section 195-9 conformity with the conditions that we've said, Peter, to try to contact the builder and let him know.
So that would let the building inspector do his job.
Right.
Yeah.
Or would you rather leave that out?
I prefer to leave that out. I really, if this guy knew I was even here,
You shouldn't be threatened for paying somebody to build something for yourself.
get that.
That's, yeah.
Peace of mind.
Yeah,
is,
yeah, peace of
Yeah,
mind,
I-
yeah, okay.
I
Leave it
don't
up.
want to
Yeah.
deal with
Okay,
that.
leave that out.
So that is stricken from the motion?
You want to see what the motion, comment?
I'm
You
sorry.
want to see what the motion?
Yes.
A second for the motion?
Jamie, a second.
Jamie seconds? All in favor? And Steve, are you opposed?
Correct.
Nancy was in favor?
No,
You're not in favor?
no. I can't get that down to the hardship.
We have a 3-2. Do we need a supermajority?
Or variance, yes.
We do.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. So the motion does not pass. I think, I don't even know what avenue I would suggest that you proceed with it this time. I don't know what to tell you.
Tear it down. That's my only option right now.
Is that Jose?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm sorry, this is Glenn Diggs.
Hi, Glenn.
I was appointed to the board as of the 24th of May.
Mr. Diggs?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
So I was appointed to the board on the 24th of May, and I've been involved in the meeting, listening on that. I haven't said anything, listened intently to the proceedings, and I'll attend the next meeting in full. But do I have a right to vote on this?
You do not, sir. You're an alternate that would vote when there weren't 5 members present.
Is that the situation with the previous board member who's now board of selectmen?
I don't know what he means.
Could you repeat
Mark
that?
Kuroda, he's asking if that was the... He's asking about...
Mark was a full member. You didn't replace Mark. I believe you replaced Jamie, and Jamie replaced Mark. Jamie is now a full board member. Do I have that correct? Yeah.
It's always
Okay, that was in the letter that I received.
I believe you were an alternate, and welcome, sir. Didn't even know that was you on the Zoom.
it's always by seniority that moves up.
Well, in this case, I think that Evan had seniority over Jamie.
No.
Oh, no, that's
No,
not the
Jamie
case.
does have
Jamie was first, okay. So Jamie was appointed to the full board, and Glenn was appointed as an alternate,
Associate, right.
associate, right?
Okay.
So Brian, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Am I being rejected because I had a contractor take advantage of a situation? Or because I made a bad decision? I don't understand.
So I personally was in favor of granting the
I know
variance.
that you were. I assume you're in charge since you're...
I don't know that it's appropriate to ask them why. I don't know, if they'd like to answer it, they're welcome to it.
I'm happy to speak. For a variance, I mean, based on the training that I've gone through, for a variance, you need to define a hardship for granting or approving a variance. And basically, if this had come
Existing.
before me, whether it was built or not, I did not see anything in the application that led me to feel like there was a hardship. If it was a special permit, I think that's a different thing, because you don't need a hardship defined, so that was my reason for having issue with the variance.
It was pre-existing non-conforming.
It was a pre-existing patio. I guess my concern was for the variance, it didn't meet the hardship. It met the financial, but that had to relate back to the lot shape, which I didn't really see that was a hardship, the topography or anything else. It didn't really relate back to anything else. So yes, there was the financial hardship, but it didn't relate to any of the other variance requirements. So that hardship wasn't met for me.
So this is the second variance I would actually be asking for. The first variance was for the existing three-season porch that is in front of that screen porch. That one was granted.
It's a special permit.
Could you say it again? I didn't understand that.
So see the existing porch on the plot?
Let me pull that back up. So the existing porch did get a variance and it was approved.
It got agreed in 2011.
Was that a variance or a special permit? Because it was 20.4.
It was variance, because it was within, I think I needed 23 feet or something.
25, yeah.
25 feet.
25 feet.
24 would be a variance.
Why? It's within 20%.
In 2011, I was asked to get a variance.
And the issue is there's no way to fix the sunroom to shrink it in some fashion that makes any practical sense.
So she was issued a variance in 2011 to put the porch on,
Right.
and now she's coming for another variance to add the sunroom. That's what it would be.
I mean, it's no snug. She has setback issues on both sides.
Yes. The way they placed the house on the lot is kind of crooked.
What year was it built, 61?
And she already has a structure that's 10 feet from the property line.
Right, the houses on the side lot are set way off from my property line.
RB zoning,
What is the setback for
25.
that?
Wouldn't the variance make that conforming? The variance makes it a conforming 20 feet. And then she's only looking at the special permit.
So she didn't increase the nonconformity. Is that correct?
No, a variance would make it conforming, that's how it gets through.
So the first one that got a variance,
Right.
does that extend out? Can we pull that plot plan back up again?
Where is it? So this would make this conforming with the variance.
So it's going on to 15.5, it's further than nonconformity. 20.4 was the limit of that first variance.
So
That doesn't
20.4.
get you,
Let's do this. But can you reduce it by 20%? You can reduce it by 20% for a special permit?
right. I think what Colleen is suggesting, and I don't know if it's
We may have to ask town council.
right or wrong, but when she got the variance for the 20-foot 4, does that become her setback? And if that's the case, is 15.5 20% of that setback?
It is, it goes to 14.
Goes to 14. If she got a variance for 20.4, if you continue that out at that point, and then gave a special permit for the 15.5, it would be within the 20%. Sketchy?
I don't think that makes any sense, sorry.
I really would like to help her out. I don't know what else to do.
20% off the 24 would get you down to 16.3.
That doesn't make the 15.5. It was a good thought, though. What I'm going to suggest you do is go see the building inspector and talk to him and see if he can find a way to modify this to get you a little closer to the goal. I don't know,
Can she withdraw at this point? Can she withdraw at this point?
I think we voted, so I don't think she can withdraw. I don't think she can, legally.
You're the chair.
A suggestion was made to withdraw, and I don't think that's an option that we have at this point. I don't know what it would change anyway. I just feel really bad that this happened. I don't know how to fix it for you. I think if you go to the building inspector and talk to him about how to maybe modify this so it fits, it might be an option for you.
So take the porch down and rebuild it?
I'm hopeful a portion of it would be effective. You probably still have to come back for a special permit, but if you can get to the setbacks. The other thing I might suggest, are you friendly with the Caslews?
Yes.
So possibly you could talk to them about a land swap, which you would buy a section of their land and you keep the same footage, but you get a little area that gets you to the setback. It's a fairly straightforward process. I'm kind of out of ideas there. You can do that, though. You could certainly do a land swap with them where you get the footage you need to get the setback, and they would get a portion of your yard where you don't need the setback. It's been done, it's pretty common.
All right.
I say, let's try to talk to the building inspector and see what avenues are there. I feel terrible that you're in this position. I don't know how to fix it.
All right.
But a land swap might be your best option.
All right, thank you.
Oh, that's very disappointing. Yeah.
And the next one,
Is this next one continuation, what is it?
second,
No, it's an administrative appeal,
So it's
so it's a it's a new hearing.
but can we take,
I'm gonna be out of this one, Brian, okay?
well,
Yeah, okay.
I'm thinking we should take 201 Chelmsford Street first, because this one will be shorter.
Okay. So we're going to take this out of order, if everyone's comfortable with that, and we're going to go to 201 Chelmsford Street. Nancy, are you comfortable sitting with that one?
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay. So I hope I'm getting this right. Kwong Yin for a special permit under 195 Attachment 1, use regulation schedule to run a Reiki hypnosis and wellness center, massage establishment, and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. I'm going to ask Jose to just give us an update on how this is working. I know some documents were brought in. I don't know if you've had a chance to review them.
So, fortunately, I had to put a stop work order. They needed a special permit to operate from that address, and that's why they are there today.
So they had the special permit but expired, is that correct?
If I recall, they came to renew it, yes. And I went to the bylaws and unfortunately found out that they needed a special permit, which it wasn't issued by the previous inspector.
Sean, let it go through.
For the first variance.
Have you seen what they've presented to us for the business certificate and the license? Are you comfortable with that being current?
Yeah.
That was my question. So we got a piece of document that said the license had been surrendered. And then we got business certificates. Is the certificate the same as the license, or is that two separate?
If you want me to give you the short version of the story, I think the background helps. And I can clarify, it does get a little confusing when you're talking about licenses and special permits, but if you'll hear from me, I can. My name's Greg Halladine. I represent Kwong Yin. She owns the Lux Wellness Center. That's at 201 Chelmsford Street. She purchased the business as an ongoing venture back in October of 2019. It had been operating as a massage service establishment for about a year at that point. So she bought it, and on October 22nd, she organized a corporation, Spa Lux. That's what it was called then. And she filed her articles of organization with the Secretary of State, which I sent to Colleen, I think, yesterday. And on November 7th of 2019, she filed with the Chelmsford Town Clerk a business certificate. And Colleen, I think I sent that to you, if you can put that up on the screen. That was naming the business as Spa Lux at 201 Chelmsford Street. It identified the business as Massage Therapy, and it was signed by the previous building inspector, approved. That was on November 7th of 2019. So Kwong Yin was up and running at that point. And we're not aware of any problems at the location, but in December of 2020, as part of a plan to rebrand her business, she filed another certificate with the Chelmsford Town Clerk. It was a business certificate, and she wanted to call the business now the Lux Wellness Center. The intention was to expand on the offerings for her holistic treatment. It was not just massage therapy, but expanding to Reiki, essential oils, hypnosis for smoking cessation, weight loss, sports performance, what have you. And again, in December of 2020, the then building inspector approved another business certificate. So twice she's received business certificates that were approved by the building inspector and filed with the town clerk. She believed she was doing everything correctly. She had bought the business as an ongoing venture, but she did learn from the building inspector that there was never a special permit for this problem.
Massage establishment.
Exactly. 201 Chelmsford Street is in the CB district. A massage service establishment is a permitted use with a special permit from this board. She assumed it had been in place when she did her business certificate to show the name under which she was operating massage therapy. The building inspector approved it. And when she wanted to rebrand her business to call it Lux Wellness Center, it was approved again by the building inspector. We just learned, though, when the building inspector closed us down, we have, stopped doing business there for now. And we're hoping we can get a special permit to correct this problem. It's simply a woman who bought a business ongoing but it did not have a special permit. She went and got a business certificate. It is a permitted use with a special permit. The prior owner never got one, we never got one, and that's why we're here.
Okay.
Now, as far as licensing, Kuan Yin had been a massage therapist licensed by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. She has surrendered that license. It was brought to her attention, as well as many other massage therapists in Massachusetts, that her education from California was not up to the standards that Massachusetts wanted. So she did surrender her license. She is not doing massage therapy at that location. She does have employees who come in and will do massage therapy, but she is not. So when you hear about a license being suspended, it was the massage therapist license to practice that Kuan Yin, the owner, had, which when she learned she didn't have sufficient hours from her California training, she surrendered that business license that she had. But she does want to operate the business, and a portion of it will remain within the definition of massage therapy. She will do massage, or people who are licensed, and I provided the licenses, they're up there, that they may come in and do licensing. They've worked there in the past, and they could work there in the future if we get the special permit. But she does want to expand. She is trained in aromatherapy. She has a hypnosis practitioner that she wants to utilize in the wellness center. So we just need a special permit to clear up that problem. She bought an ongoing business that didn't have a special permit that it needed. And obviously, the criteria for the special permit, any adverse effects of this business would not outweigh any potential impacts to the town. There's really no adverse impacts here. We're not aware of any problems that the business has had. It's a commercial property that's being utilized, which is no small feat these days. She has people employed. It's a well-maintained and very nice building at 201 Chelmsford Street. They share the building with a medical practice and a physical therapy practice. It all ties in very nicely. There's parking in the front, which is dedicated to the Lux Wellness Center. Basically, we just want to continue operating the business. It's going to be a little expanded from what it was initially as massage therapy, but it still does need a special permit. And for that reason, alone, we'll come before the board asking for it.
You know what number?
Residential. Maybe 20 medical use.
Daycare.
It literally does say massage.
Massage service establishment. So what is the zoning for, is it RM, BA, RM, CA? It's commercial.
It's CB.
Board of Appeals special permit to run the business. The licensing has been straightened out. She will not be giving massages, but licensed massage therapists would be.
Yes.
Right, okay. Do we have any letters? We have no letters. Do we have any comments from the audience at this time regarding this application? Or on Zoom? Seeing none, do we have any further discussion regarding the issue there?
I thought I was trying to chime in there once.
Glenn, do you have some thoughts on this?
No, not really.
So I think what the issue is, they're running without a special permit. They've stopped running. They have licenses. They want to reopen as a massage parlor that has been ongoing for quite some time without problems, and they need a special permit to do it. So that's really the nuts and bolts of it.
And usually we wait for the board.
I have no letters.
No.
So we don't even know the last time Board of Health has been out there or anything, huh?
Jose, was the Board of Health involved in this decision at all?
don't think they have.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Unfortunately, I can't speak on behalf of the Board of Health, but my understanding is that locally, they don't have jurisdiction over the massage parlors licenses.
Okay. I just assumed that,
Okay, me too.
you'd think that would be something that would be under their purview.
What about the Reiki and the,
That's not a touch.
The Reiki is not touched. The Reiki, as I understand it, is, they call it hands-on healing, but your hands are like apparently 6 inches from the person, and it transfers energy and does all sorts of things. The aromatherapy would not be...
The massages and Reiki, I guess, if you're not physically touching someone, I don't know if that matters, I don't know.
I don't know what the Board of Health.
Board of Health doesn't have anything to do with this.
Zero.
No, zero.
Yeah, we're here for, the structure itself should have a special permit so that this can operate.
To operate this business.
Exactly.
And I think it's simply because it is a massage parlor that the town wants to have some power over it, some way to control it. So, if there are no comments from the audience or Zoom, I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
I second.
Steve?
Yep.
And with no complaints or problems, I see no reason not to issue a special permit. It was pretty clear that the information the building inspector gave her wasn't complete. She did comply as requested, and, I think it's just bad planning on the part of not getting a special permit. She did receive permission from the building inspector, so that's the town's issue as far as not having it prior.
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit under 195 attachment I for the use regulation of 201 Chelmsford Street to run a Reiki Hypnosis and Wellness Center. And I don't think there's any other relief necessary, but yeah, that's it.
I'd like to second it.
Charlie seconds it?
Well, I think it should, with all due respect, I think the license, the special permit should reflect that it's a regulated activity that requires a special permit. Reiki, I think, can be done as of right.
I believe you've read it right off the application, so,
Yeah, he said Reiki.
Okay.
it says a special permit on 195, use regulations to run a Reiki Hypnosis and Wellness Center.
Okay.
And in parentheses, it says massage establishment. Do you want to word it differently? Do you want to?
I would respectfully ask that it include massage therapy to the extent that Reiki may involve touching, and there may be licensed therapists who would perform massages on the premises.
You want the wording to include massage therapy?
If the board would see that fit, I'd
Okay.
appreciate that. Thank you.
I will withdraw the previous motion and start a new motion to approve the special permit under 195 attachment 1 for the use regulation schedule of 201 Chelmsford Street as a Reiki Hypnosis and Wellness Center and massage establishment for 201 Chelmsford Street.
I have a second for that? Second by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Jamie, Nancy, Steve, it's unanimous?
Thank you very much.
If the next thing goes quite a long time, can we have a 2-minute break?
Would you like one now? Yeah, so we're going to take a couple minutes. We're 24, 26, 28, and 32nd lane. And Nancy, if you're going to withdraw, you can probably just have a good evening.
Good night, everyone.
Hope we see you here soon.
That was a long one. It's fun meeting in person. Oh, was this the encrypted?
It was. Were you able to?
Let me see what I have.
It was because of the file. Slides in there.
And then by default, Ellen will be sitting on this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Is that how it works? So you have three associates now.
Right.
You guys are like packs. You have like a full
We haven't had
board.
8 on the board in a long
I've-
time.
No, we have.
I never remember
No,
that.
since I've been here, you haven't. I mean, I've only been here for like 2.5 years, but there's never been 8.
Was in a struggle with it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there's never been 8 for as long as I've been here.
Why can't I do this?
I didn't even know you did 8. I thought 7 was like your max. I thought you were maxed out at 7. So.
Well, we're pretty good with starting, right? There's nobody else that's, we're concerned about being here.
Nope, there is a lot of people on Zoom though. There's still 33 people there.
Okay. So if you'd like to proceed, we can get started with this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Ryan McManus. I'm from Hemingway and Barnes, here representing the applicant for 24 through 30 Second Lane. The owners of the property, Patrick Larkin and Michael Larkin, are here with me as well. I just want to start by clarifying the procedural posture in which this matter is before the board. So we're before the board on administrative appeal of a denial of building permits by the building commissioner. Essentially, what this turns on is an interpretation of the bylaw, and it's our position that the building commissioner misinterpreted the bylaw in denying these building permits. And specifically, it's our position that, and let me just back up for a minute and explain, the project here, which the board may have some familiarity with, is the reconstruction of 4 single-family residential structures that are on one lot on Second Lane. They're non-conforming structures. They don't meet the existing setback requirements. Some of them were in the nature of cottages. One is a larger house. But the proposed project involves the reconstruction of those 4 pre-existing non-conforming structures. We sought a building permit to do that because it's the position of the applicant that under the current bylaw, this is permissible as of right. And if Colleen, you can flip to the second page, I'll just direct everyone's attention to the relevant language of the bylaw. So this is section 195.8, subpart E. And I've bolded some of the relevant language there, but in essence what this says is that for single-family residential structures, non-conforming residential structures, they can be reconstructed as of right. By that I mean without a special permit or special finding from the board, provided that certain circumstances are met. And that's the bolded language on the bottom of the page. The following circumstances, subsection E1A through D, shall not be deemed to increase the nonconforming nature of said structure. So if the nonconforming nature of the structure is not being increased, then by law it's permissible as of right. And what this bylaw currently does is it provides setback requirements based on the year that the structure was built. And the next page, Colleen, I think, has those setback requirements. I've highlighted the relevant line here. All of these structures on this lot were built prior to 1954. And as a result, these are the setbacks that are required under this bylaw in order to be able to reconstruct the nonconforming structures as a matter of right. I think it's important to note this is a relatively new bylaw provision. This was amended in 2019. The old bylaw, which I'm sure many on this board are familiar with, involved a sliding scale, and it allowed you to enlarge a home, certain amount of percentage as of right. Over 30%, you couldn't do it as of right. You had to get a special finding. I think, the board has a lot more familiarity with it than I do, but from prior hearings that I've watched, it was complicated, it was frequently an issue, and it was amended in 2019 for that very reason. And on the next slide here, I've included some of the language
from the town meeting, Article 25, about the amendment and the reasons why this bylaw was amended. And again, I'll just point to a couple of things on here that I think are important. It refers to the fact that I think 99% of the projects that were coming before the board under the old bylaw were receiving approval, but right above that, it was causing costs and delays to residents. It was basically requiring almost every non-conforming single-family home that was enlarging to any significant extent to come before this board and get a special permit. And the intent of the amendment, as that second to last bullet indicates, was to get rid of the sliding scale, get rid of this percentage of increase that you could do as of right versus getting a special permit, and instead put in place these setback requirements, which are clear, easy to apply, and going forward, tell you whether a project can be done as of right or whether it requires a special permit. This project was designed and does comply with those setback requirements that we just looked at. All the structures, again, were built prior to 1954, and I'm happy to walk through any particular questions about these structures, but all of them comply with those setback requirements. And as a result, it's the applicant's position that these structures can be reconstructed as proposed as a matter of right. And in fact, this is exactly the type of project that the amended bylaw was intended to allow as of right. Perhaps not this many structures, but a property where you are reconstructing a residential structure, you're enlarging it, you're making it bigger, but you're complying with all the setback requirements. This is what the amended bylaw was supposed to change, whether you have to come before this board and get a special permit. That's why the applicant sought the building permits. Unfortunately, they were denied. I think you have the decision from the building commissioner. What the building commissioner said was that the issue was that these new structures weren't being reconstructed in the footprint of the existing structures, and that was the problem. Respectfully, that's not the standard under the amended bylaw. The amended bylaw says nothing about the footprint. That was a provision of the old bylaw, the rules about being able to reconstruct as of right within the existing footprint. But that's been eliminated in favor of these setback requirements. And it makes a lot of sense, especially for a project like this, where in fact the footprint of many of these buildings are on the lot lines, in one case extending over the lot lines. What the amended bylaw does, it says you can reconstruct, but you got to bring these away from the lot lines. You have to comply with at least these minimum setbacks. And the building within the footprint notion has been stricken from the amended bylaw. So again, it's our position that this is just a misinterpretation and misapplication of the bylaw that resulted in this denial. We don't think that anything in the bylaw requires these structures to be rebuilt within the existing footprint, or requires us to get a special permit or special finding to reconstruct them outside the footprint. As long as we comply with those setback requirements, which this project does, the bylaw is clear that this is permissible as of right. I want to stop there and I guess, offer to answer any questions about this, because that's what I understand to be the basis for the commissioner's denial. To the extent there are other concerns, and I've heard that there have been concerns about the use, in other words, is this a change or substantial extension of the use? I'm happy to address that as well, but I wanted to give folks an opportunity to ask questions about the structural component of this and whether the new structures are permissible as of right, given the amended bylaw. And again, we've provided, just for everyone's benefit, in this PowerPoint, and it's also in the initial application that was filed, plans showing the setbacks for each of the structures. So showing, the frontage, the front setback, the side yard setbacks, the rear setbacks. Again, there's a table that's Exhibit A to the memo that was supported in the application. Actually, Colleen, it's I think the next page of the slide deck. I could pull that up. This unfortunately, the font I did not do as well a job with, so it may be difficult to read, but this sets forth the proposed setbacks and also the allowed setbacks based on the year each of these structures was built. That's on the bottom half of this page. And again, all of these structures meet those setback requirements in the amended bylaw.
This is the 1954 setbacks?
Correct.
Well, originally, the first slide you had up, it says that it requires compliance with current zoning standards. Are you meaning the current zoning standards with that?
No,
that was the one right there.
the slide there, so
Bounce back.
what the bylaw says,
Back one more screen. Right there, requires compliance with current zoning standards.
where are you reading from, Mr.
The
Chairman?
second bullet point?
Oh, this is not the bylaw. This was the article, this is an explanation of the article that was presented at town meeting. So that's not the current bylaw. The current bylaw, Colleen, it's the second slide.
Number 2.
So this is the language from the current bylaw. And what it says is, by right, single-family, non-conforming structures can be reconstructed, extended, altered, or structurally changed upon a determination that the reconstruction does not increase the non-conforming nature of said structure. So you can do it as of right if it does not increase the non-conforming nature. Then the next paragraph says, the following circumstances shall not be deemed to increase the non-conforming nature of the structure. So in other words, it provides as a matter of law certain circumstances that, as a matter of law, will be deemed not to increase the non-conforming nature of the structure. And then what it goes on to do is provide that table of the historic setback requirements.
Close historic natural consequence from the year the structure was built. So, I think you're right in that case. Where do you get to claim the fourth building that is percentage-wise not even on your property, 50%? How does that become your purview there? I don't understand that. I don't know if it has an identifier on it.
Which building are you referring to?
That's what
That's over the one you did in the back, towards the back of the...
20, it would be 24, you think?
Yeah.
So that property appears to be less on your property than more. I don't have any math to tell you that, but how are you claiming that? How are you taking possession of that footage, so to speak, or the building proper?
Well, I think the building proper, it does extend over the lot line, the lot line that's drawn. The building has been there for decades. So, as is the lot line. As is the lot line. But, to the extent, for example, that a neighbor could say, that's not your building because it's on my property, there'd be an adverse possession claim to that portion of the property that it overlaps on. So again, no one's asserting that claim. Our goal here is to raise that building, get it off the lot line, demolish it. It is owned by the applicant. It is a non-conforming pre-existing structure. We don't intend to keep it there, and to be clear. We want to raise it, we want to move it away from the lot lines and comply with those historic setback requirements.
I struggle with granting you the footage that you're requesting for that. I mean, I guess by deed or right you're claiming it? I don't really understand that.
Well, I understand the struggle on that. I think what's important to remember is the bylaw once said you only have the ability to do this as of right up to a certain percentage. You can increase it up to 30% as of right, and then you can't. That restriction has been removed.
I understand.
So now a landowner has the ability as of right to reconstruct without regard to the size of the structure, as long as they're not changing the use, without regard to the size of the structure, as long as they comply with those historic setbacks. Again, that was a decision that was made in amending the bylaw to remove consideration of the size of the new structure. That's something that's been taken out of the bylaw, and that was the decision that was made in amending.
So you have a structure entitles you to put any size building you'd like up as long as it meets the setbacks existing at the time of construction.
You've got to meet the setbacks that are set forth in that table. There's still height restrictions, obviously, and the like. But you're not otherwise limited under the zoning bylaw to a particular size. You can't build a three-family, you can't demolish a single-family residential structure and build a three-family in its place. You can't change the use. But as far as building a larger single-family residential home, you're not restricted by the bylaw so long as you comply with those setbacks and you comply with height restrictions and so forth.
The other thing I'm confused by, honestly, is 195.12, multiple principal structures. And it says specifically, except in residential districts, which is where we're in, more than one principal non-residential structure may be erected on a lot pursuant to the special permit issued by the planning board in accordance with 195.103 and the following conditions. This isn't residential, so it would exclude them from this, but it doesn't seem to allow for multiple residential structures on a single lot.
Well, a couple issues. That provision, again, refers to authority that the planning board has when it's not a residential structure. So it's not a matter of zoning, it's the planning board's jurisdiction. But again, you're right that doesn't apply to residential structures. I think more importantly, the 4 residential structures on a single lot, that's a question of use, right? That's been there since before the bylaw was in effect. So to the extent that having 4 residences on a single lot is not a permissible use, this is a pre-existing non-conforming use. Now, the use, to be clear, the use is distinct from the structures. We have both here. We have pre-existing non-conforming structures, and we have a pre-existing non-conforming use insofar as you have 4 on one lot. But they're regulated differently, and they're analyzed separately. So with respect to the use, the question is there a change, is the proposal to change or substantially extend the use? If we're not changing or substantially extending the use, then it's permissible as of right. If we are changing or substantially extending the use, then we need a special permit. Simply put, we're not changing the use at all. There are currently 4 single-family homes on the property. The proposed project is to reconstruct 4 single-family homes on the property. We're not asking to put any multifamily homes on the property. We're not asking to put a 5th or a 6th or a 7th home on the property. Those are things that would be a change of use or an extension of use. This is exactly the same use that's currently in place on this property.
I'm struggling with that. I think I allow anyone else to talk about it.
Yeah, I do have a comment, like, the reason, the intent of that bylaw, I believe, was so that a person with a single-family home, not a single-story home, like a ranch, and they needed more room, that would allow the building inspector to go to the size of the house, to go up another story without coming before our board, and that was the big thing. Everybody had to come before the board for increases, and that would give them a leeway to at least go to 100% all by themselves.
Right.
So this is not the intent of this bylaw, and I understand you're reading into the bylaw, but you just don't have the intent in your side, I say.
Well, respectfully, and I understand your position, and I don't mean to suggest that, the town meeting and the article was drafted with a project like this in mind. This is unusual in that there are 4 structures on the lot. However, looking at each of these individually, we are taking small structures. There's one sizable house on the property, the others are small structures in need of repair, frankly in need of replacement. And we are, as you described the intent of the bylaw, taking a small cottage-like structure and replacing it with a more modern single-family home. In the past, if you were going from 1,000 square feet to 2,000 square feet, you need to come in for a special permit. And I think the intent of this amendment was to say, you don't need to do that anymore. We're not worried whether you're expanding by 10% or 20% or 50%. If you comply with the setbacks, then you can do it as of right.
We're doing it for 4 separate structures, I recognize that. But that gets back to the use question. You know, there are 4 structures on this one lot. You know, there's a pre-existing non-conforming use, but that use isn't changing at all.
Can I ask about the historic dimensional requirements? Is that it, front, side, and rear? There was no other,
I think that was the 1954, that was it, right?
it was just front, side, and rear setbacks?
Yeah.
There's no other dimensional?
There might be a height restriction, but I don't know of it. I don't think we had one for when these were constructed. I don't think there was a height restriction.
The document they went by is the old blue book that has all the old zoning.
Yeah.
It's all just
That's it,
down.
yeah.
So the question before us is, do we overturn the decision of the building inspector in denying this? In doing so, I think it leaves the town at a disadvantage to allow 4 houses on a single-family lot. I really struggle with that. I don't think that was at all the intent of the bylaw to create that. And I will tell you, I have serious concerns about there actually being for better minds than mine to decide that owning a sliver of a house or a 30 or 40% of the house on your property entitles you to that relief. I just struggle with that. I personally would like to talk with the town attorney and see how his speaking is about it, his thinking is about it. I don't know how to vote tonight. I just really need some input, and I do appreciate your points. I think they're valid. I just don't know how we can look at a property a building that's not on your property, a percentage is not, and say that you get, I'm going to call it credit, so you can build an entire house with that.
Was the bylaw originally set up to do an existing foundation and then build on top of that foundation that's there? Or was the bylaw intended to allow...
Unfortunately, intended is relative.
Yeah, but does it allow a foundation to be moved? To expand?
Yes, the way it's set up now is you have a box, you have a house on that has a size.
Right.
If you choose to raise it or you choose to put an addition on it, as long as you're within the setbacks, there's no restriction as to the size.
But there's no reference to footprint, to like the footprint movement.
There's no relation to the footprint. You can take it down and rebuild it as long as it fits on that lot. So if it was in a tight corner of it and you didn't have any way to go to the left, for instance, you could take that entire structure down, move it to the center of the lot, and make it as big as is allowed by law, by the setbacks themselves.
Right.
And I do appreciate as the setbacks at the time of construction, which is very different than the current ones today.
Correct.
So the article is a little different than the actual.
And Mr. Chairman, just a few comments in response to yours. I mean, I agree, and obviously, you know, the board needs to consult with town council, certainly understand that. I do think that as to the question about the existing footprint and whether you can move it, you know, the explanation that was given is my understanding as well, that it has always been the case that reconstruction can include relocation on the same lot, provided you comply with the other things. And let me say, I understand the discomfort with 4 houses on a single lot. What I'll say is that's currently the situation that exists. There are 4 houses on that lot. There's nothing stopping, you know, there were occupants in those houses. There's nothing stopping a large family from moving into one of those houses now. So in terms of effects on the neighborhood, I think, you know, some of the concerns that have been expressed about increasing the size and maybe increasing the number of occupants, most of that is speculative. You could have a family of 8 move into one of these existing structures right now. But I'd also say that the proposed reconstruction really mitigates a lot of the adverse effects of this now. I mean, for one, these are houses in need of reconstruction. Second, you know, the situation with the lot lines, as you noted, Mr. Chairman, is not ideal. There's property, not only the one that extends over it, but there's another one that I believe the garage is
on it.
Right up against the lot line, and there are 2 others where it's within 3 or 4 feet of the lot line. The structure that's closest to Hart Pond here, currently right on top of the pond essentially, that under the proposal would be moved back significantly, having mitigating effects for environmental considerations, and they've gotten approval for the proposal from Conservation Commission. So again, 4 structures on a single lot, I understand everyone's discomfort with that, but for better or worse, that was what was built before there was zoning. And what's being proposed mitigates some of the adverse effects of that, and in our view, is permissible as of right under this amended bylaw.
I understand that.
Hey, Brian?
Yes.
Can we get some interpretation from the building inspector as to what determination was made in order to deny this building permit?
I think so.
Yeah, and can we see the letter? Do we have the letter? I was just looking for it in the email.
If Jose wanted to speak on it, he can, and we can also pull the letter up so we can read it.
Yeah, my interpretation on this matter was that I consulted Mr. Haverty. I know that previous to my decision, he had made an opinion on the matter, but I do have emails exchange in which Mr. Haverty does agree with my interpretation, which I believe that my interpretation to, especially the one putting 4 structures in the same lot, is very specific that the language in section 12 seems to me that it's more commercial than residential. And that's how the paragraph begins, is set in residential districts. The other concern that I had is the same when you had one of the houses, the ranch, is basically on the other side of the lot. It's really encroaching into somebody else's property. And the garage of the Colonial, I believe part of it is also on the other side. So my interpretation was that building larger structures, even if they are away from the lot line, it will increase the non-conformity of the structure. My interpretation is that they could do so if they were doing it with the existing structure, not with a new structure.
Thank you. In your opinion, I know it's very unusual, the buildings, the 3 proposed, 28, 26, and 24, and I believe I'm correct in saying they have 23.5 feet between each. So that's sort of half of what we would need for a side setback, but it's not a separate lot, so I don't know if that would even apply. It's kind of a mess.
I can see that though. So I feel like Jose's saying that in his mind, the increase in nonconformity was due to them being new structures rather than setbacks. You know what I mean? So the historical setbacks weren't necessarily what he made them more non-conforming, which is also.
I think, and respectfully, I appreciate the building commissioner's interpretation. I think one of the issues here is that the amended bylaw as written takes some of that discretion away from the building commissioner. It does not allow him to decide entirely what is an increase of the non-conforming nature of the structure, because it says certain things will be automatically, as a matter of law, deemed not to increase the non-conforming nature, and then it provides those setbacks. So basically it says, here's your safe harbor. If you meet these setbacks, then as a matter of law, we're going to say it's not increasing the nonconformity. So, I appreciate the building commissioner's opinion that he may view it otherwise, but I think this is a circumstance where the bylaw takes that discretion away from him.
So this is,
I just want,
this is
on the, section 190,
the name, like the whole section, so we can look at the whole section.
Can you pull up, Colleen, 195,
E,
12?
yeah.
Probably,
No,
195, 9 through 12.
Or 195, 8, 195, 8.
195.8.
Yeah.
E2.
I'd just like to see the whole, subsection instead of just, well, I guess E, all of E. This, it's a little bit different now than what our books have, right? Yeah, this is
Right.
old, so.
I think E says right here.
Oh, I can probably pull it up. I mean, we don't have laptops either. That's it, I keep looking at Google Maps to see the things, because I'm like,
I actually meant to build it.
Yes, yeah, the
And
iPad.
just to maybe provide some context, what I did in the slide deck was I copied section E all the way through the table. So it's section E 1A, and it's basically in its entirety. What I excluded was B, C, and D that are underneath that. And what I understand B, C, and D to say, basically, if you have insufficient lot area or insufficient frontage or other dimensional nonconformities, but you comply with those same setbacks, then it's, again, as a matter of law, deemed not to increase the nonconforming nature of it. That's how I read those. I did not think those were particularly relevant to either the building inspector's determination or the issue, but those are what the other sections say.
C says planning board or board of appeals is applicable to construct, extended, structurally changed. There's more to it.
Yeah. I think we're definitely going to ask Paul for some input, Paul Haverty. And if possible, I know there's a lot of people on Zoom that have been patiently waiting. If we could take some comments from them, maybe it would have some clarity here. I don't know. If anyone on Zoom would like to speak in favor or opposition to this administrative appeal?
Pam Rivard?
I'll let Colleen sort of...
I'm familiar with them.
Yeah, good.
You calling on me, Colleen?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I don't even know where to start, but I'll start with this. I think there's a distinct disadvantage to the public and the neighborhood and we concerned citizens to have to do this on Zoom. You've held up documents and maps and everything. We cannot see them from here. So, and in your notice to abutters for this meeting, it says that the public will not be admitted. So I want to take issue with that. If the public were admitted, if we were allowed to go there tonight, we would have showed up in mass and been able to see the documents the attorney is presenting to us. So that's just point number one.
Just 1 second. I just want to understand a little better where we are. So are we allowed to have...
Yes, but at the time when I wrote the ad, we were
If we continue this, we
they
could...
could all come.
Okay. So I think to your comment, what we're going to do is continue this. I'm not going to stop it right now. I think other people have some things to say. But if possible, we'll continue this to July 1st. And you would be allowed to attend. And we may even have to look for a larger venue. So we'll worry that a little in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Another point I wanted to make is when, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the attorney's name.
McManus?
Attorney Ryan McManus.
Okay. When Attorney McManus said that we're not changing, it's just single-family homes here, we're just replacing them or rebuilding them. That isn't really how it is. What we have now is 4 rentals. We have 1 owner and 4 rentals. And what he's proposing to do is build 4 separately owned homes, I believe. So how he's going to do it, now he's proposing like a condo association. I don't think he can subdivide because he doesn't have the frontage on a public road. So how that's going to be done is another source of great concern to the neighbors. When Mr. McManus says, oh, these homes, 8 people can move into 1 home, there's not a substantial increase in use. Well, I don't think 8 people are going to live in a 571 square foot house, nor are they going to live in an 888 square foot house, nor a 1260. There's 1 home that's 1856. So the total number of square feet is 4,575 square feet. Mr. McManus said even if you want to increase it 50% in his examples, well, this is an increase of 100% plus that they're proposing. So when we as the neighbors are concerned about the substantial use of this small piece of property in terms of number of drivers and the activity level there, I think we're on solid ground. They're proposing a 3,500 square foot house in which 7 people will live, according to Mr. Larkin, and 3 2,300 square foot houses, in which I assume at least 2 adults, maybe some kids live. So that's a substantial use. As it stands now, the average number of people that have lived on that 1.45 acres of land is 5 adults. That's how many lived there at one time, with very few exceptions. So this is a substantial increase in use, and I would propose a different use in the condo association idea. What I haven't heard is, do we as abutters and neighbors have a say at all? Because one of the things we built a case for, I thought very well, was detriment to our neighborhood. You have gotten either letters or spoken at a meeting or gotten a petition representing 80 neighbors, 80, who are all saying, this does not fit in with our neighborhood. This substantially changes the character of our neighborhood. Does that count at all? And if not, why are we invited to attend meetings or give our say, or, why is the public invited at all if it doesn't matter?
Okay, there you go.
And as far as the house that's on my property, it's pretty much on my property. I would say 2/3 of it is. When that was built, my grandfather owned our property, his sister's family owned that property, and I'm sure there was an understanding between brother and sister that that was fine. I don't know. Who can tell? Back in 1950. But in order to claim adverse possession, which has been threatened to me, I think there has to be a hostile situation there, and between family there was no hostility. It was family, it was brother and sister when that was built, so I guess you can sue for anything. But I agree that should not be considered in the replacement configuration here. Colleen, if I forget something, can I talk again?
You sure can.
Okay, I will turn it over then.
Who's next? Jen?
Hi, I'm Jen Adelman. This is Jay Adelman. We're the owners of 6 Second Lane. We're directly next to the proposed number 24 Second Lane. We'd like to speak in favor of the Hart Pond development and Patrick and Michael Larkin. The homes that Ms. Rivard spoke of, she spoke of the character of the house. Those homes are decrepit. This is only going to beautify the neighborhood. That neighborhood is going to be beautiful. We literally own on, we're building, and we're on the corner of Second Lane and Parkerville. So our home will be there, and the other homes will be right next to us. All of those homes that are there, they should be knocked down. No one should have to live in those homes. They're so old. And it's only going to beautify the neighborhood. And we just want to speak in favor of the development and Patrick and Michael Larkin.
Thank you.
I think that's Bob Laporte.
Thank you, Colleen. I want to speak in support of the building inspector's determination. I think he was right on. Starting out with the encroachment onto Pam Rivard's property, starting out, I don't think you can count that as an existing use because it's illegal, and I'm sure Mrs. Rivard could take legal action against the owner to have that removed. So that shouldn't even be counted as one of the 4 houses. I guess there are a lot of other issues. I mean, this lot is not a legal lot. It has no legal frontage, and the only access to it is on a 10-foot wide strip of land. And to increase the density of development to the extent that they plan to is just raises big health and safety issues in my mind. Historically, this has been camps that have been rented. And I think it could be looked at not as a single or 2-family structure, but a series of multifamily units that are rented for an investment. And the proposed plan changes the use. And I think that's beyond what was envisioned under this section E that has been discussed. I think as such, the setback requirements, currently there is no front yard setback because there's no frontage on the street, and in the proposed condition that will not change. The side yard setbacks are simply measured between the houses as there are no lot lines, so there's no subdivision. I think the proposed use increases the density of development beyond what is envisioned by this article that has been presented by Attorney McManus, and that these are not going to be reconstruction, they're going to be all new homes with many bedrooms and a floor area change that's 100% from what exists. So I think the proposed density of development and the fact that we're dealing with one lot with 4 structures of which they were always rented as seasonal cottages that morphed into year-round occupancy is beyond the scope of this discussed by Attorney McManus. I've also written a couple of letters to the Board of Appeals. I don't plan to go through all of these other reasons that I've stated, because I think they're probably beyond the scope of what they're looking for now, but I just want to state that I have 2 letters on record that articulate many reasons that this project is not viable, nor is it consistent with the neighborhood. That's it for now.
changes.
Richard, do you want to, oh, I'm sorry, who's this? I can't see your name. Can you turn on your mic? You're muted.
Hey Colleen, it's John Roses, how are you?
Oh, yeah, you're small, and when I see you, I can't. Go ahead.
No worries, no worries. So quickly, I just wanted to come in and comment about the project on Second Lane. First of all, to all the board members and the town, employees, I do want to say I appreciate the work. I mean, it's almost 10 o'clock at night, and so I'll keep this brief. In regards to the planning, I am going to support, as everybody knows, I'm very involved in the town, and I do support the zoning board of appeals, and whatever comes out of the planning portion, I'm going to rely on the experts in the town to kind of comment on that. My comment was really specifically about, is the land use going to become detrimental if you put the homes on it? And I've heard a lot of discussions about land and space and changing the landscape, and I haven't heard a lot of discussions about people. And, neighborhoods aren't built from houses. Nobody remembers anybody's house, but they most definitely remember the people that lived in those homes. So when we talk about adding 3 homes to Second Lane, I think anybody that would live on Second Lane with a family or kids would love to live in South Chelmsford. I love to live on South Chelmsford. Second Lane is a very special, even though I'm on Parkerville Road, my daughter and I walked up and down Second Lane hundreds of times during COVID and talked about everything. So it's a special place to me, even though I'm not in a butter. So for me, is the use case beneficial? In one way, I do think it is. I think bringing in new families, giving kids opportunity to go to the Bayham, to be part of the Chelmsford schools, to go to Hart Pond, and to give other families those opportunities that all of us that live in South Chelmsford, and some of you that have lived in South Chelmsford for generations, have had to experience. I guess in full transparency, I'm interested in being your neighbor too. I mean, I would be interested in the property down there. Whether that is something that's realistic, even if it wasn't realistic for me, I would love to see 3 new families with maybe some kids my age in a neighborhood that they could walk to their homes. And that's my comment. Not really about the plan, but neighborhoods are really made of people, and I think those people would be great neighbors. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy Arroway?
Sure.
Thank you, Colleen. I wanted to make a couple comments. I'm planning board liaison to the ZBA. Couple things that I noticed. In 195-8, it allows for the reconstruction, extension, and structural change of buildings. It does not at all address the replacement of buildings. And I think replacement is what we're talking about here. So I'm not real sure that this project actually falls within the constraints of the allowable activities in terms of replacing existing structures and therefore being exempt from changing nonconformances. The second thing that I wanted to note is that the table of dimensional allowances for historical dimensions was specifically put in place and developed by the planning board to provide relief to the ZBA for the multitudes of projects that they were getting that were specifically because somebody wanted to put an extension on that was consistent with their neighborhood. So there was absolutely nothing in the addition and the modification that addressed anything more than moving the ability to make changes to make additions to a property, to a structure, to the building inspector as opposed to going through the ZBA. But there's nothing else in there. And providing that relief in terms of dimensional relief did not in any way address or change the ability of the ZBA or the planning board, depending on the type of property, to look at other nonconformities. There's nothing about that clause that says dimensions are the only thing we look at for nonconformities. It simply provided a relief structure for those dimensions. So that's my 2 cents on it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask if someone else would like to comment. We're probably going to do a stop at 10 o'clock. I think everybody's wearing down a little. The intent is to talk with Mr. Haverty and get together at the July 1st meeting, which will be open to all. And we can try to get Colin to understand a little what all means. We may look for a larger venue or just a safe way to meet. So we'll try to have you coordinate that a little. I don't know how many people are comfortable coming out and how many would attend an open meeting where you can truly participate. I understand the limitations of Zoom. It's been very challenging the last 15 months doing Zoom. We've done our best, but it is obviously something that we'd like to do away with if we could.
You want to take 4 speakers? Speakers?
Yeah, if someone else would like to speak, we'll go to 10.
Fred Peterson. Is that you, Fred, with your hand up?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I live at 47 Parker Road, down the street a little bit. And I have one question that hasn't been talked about yet. That is, what is the story on sewerage for this place? I understand that because of, I heard that because of the backup in the Duck Island facility in Lowell, that new structures, new sewer add-ons could not be done, at least around Lowell. If that's true, is there a septic system going there? And there may be a whole lot of flushes going on that were never there before. But being so close to the pond, I'm very concerned that we don't pollute at all, and that there's a good sewer system there. So that's my first.
I believe the attorney, Mr. McManus, is ready with a response for you.
My understanding is there's existing town water and sewer already connected to all 4.
You have 4 connections there? So at this point, there are 4 connections that are existing, and they would be able to reuse those. They certainly wouldn't be going to any kind of septic system that close to the pond. That wouldn't happen, so.
They would have to check, because it goes by bedrooms, so they would have to check to see if the flow.
Yeah, there may be limitations to, it's a very good point. There may be limitations to the amount of bedrooms that would be allowed. I'm not sure how that math will be done.
It goes through the sewer department, Steve Yonley, and they make that decision.
He would make a determination on that.
Even though there's existing.
Have you spoken with Mr. Yonley about the capacity?
When we presented the building permit, it didn't come up when we went to the water and sewer department. It said you could disconnect and reconnect.
Okay.
But it's based on bedrooms, just like.
We can try to understand where it is with that for the next meeting as well. I'll send an email to Steve and ask him what his thoughts are on it, yeah, what's going on with that.
The other thing is, from the neighborhood point of view, this, I've been here since 1977, and it's slowly grown. There's been some bigger houses built, but the finished product here is pretty nice. I think people went to meetings when other houses were being built, and they changed the plan a little bit, but the neighborhood looks good. I'm not against building houses there, but I clearly question the plan itself, and there's so many on the one lot, and I just think it's out of taste with the neighborhood.
Thank you. One last, I forget her name, what is it?
Pam wants to say something again. Pam, did you have your hand up, Pam Rivard? You're muted. Pam, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to correct Jen Edelman, just so you know, I never called those houses full of character. I know they're in bad shape. What I was referring to is the character of the neighborhood. the character of the neighborhood is what I was referring to and what's so precious to all of us. And by clear cutting that whole area and putting in 3 identical houses 20 feet apart, and then the house looking at the lake sounds like it's going to be beautiful, 3,500 square feet. I don't think anybody has any problem with that. And we would welcome one other house, maybe, beautiful house there. That would be nice. And that would be more in character. I just wanted to make sure that you didn't think I was totally crazy and thinking those cottages were. I agree. They need a lot of work.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, I think we can close. So we're going to take a motion to continue this until July 1st. I'm sorry, the attorney would like to say something?
I just wanted to add a comment that there have been a few comments about moving these and replacement versus reconstruction. I wanted to note that I believe that's an issue on which town council has opined on a number of occasions, including in connection with this project, but others as well. So I think that's been, at least in town council's mind, a fairly clearly established precedent. But I'd also like to add that for the applicant here, this is particularly frustrating where you have a bylaw that, I know it's new, but we think it's clear. And we think it's clear that the bylaw says if you do A, B, C, and D, you can build as of right. And the applicant's done A, B, C, and D. And now they're being told they can't. So again, you know, the bylaw language is fairly clear. You know, different folks may have different ideas as to why that change was made, but what it says now and what it says you need to do to be able to build as of right is clear. And it's frustrating for an applicant who follows those steps and who designs a project in accordance with those requirements to then basically be dealing with what they would have been dealing with had they just come in here on a special permit or special finding proceeding.
I can understand the frustration. I'm sure it's expensive and challenging. I don't see a clear path myself, so it's frustrating because I do understand how it's a lot without frontage, but for better minds than mine, I do not understand how we're putting 4 houses on a single lot when that isn't in the bylaw. But again, the applicant has rights. He's welcome to them. We're going to try to understand them as best we can and, you know, do the right thing. It's not a question of just build 4 houses because you planned on that. It doesn't work that way either. So.
I understand, Mr. Chairman, but it's not just, you know, build 4 houses because you planned on it or you comply with the bylaw. I mean, Massachusetts law is that pre-existing non-conforming structures have protections. They are grandfathered. The owners of those structures have rights. All they're trying to do is exercise those rights by reconstructing these structures. And so I understand, you know, the board has to look at it carefully, and we certainly appreciate that, and certainly understand the need to consult with town council on it. But again, it is our view that they followed what the bylaw requires. The bylaw outlined this process to be able to build as of right. If the town wants to revisit that down the road, that's fine. But the bylaw that the town enacted allows a project like this to go forward. And so it's frustrating for the applicant to
obviously, there's conflicting opinions about that.
Understood. That is our reading of it. Understood.
And I do appreciate your position. I think our goal simply isn't to say we're going to let this happen or this happen. We're going to try to do it so that the rights of the property owners, the rights of the abutters, and the town itself are met, that we're doing what's right. And I must tell you, I'm not clear on it. I'm going to look for some guidance and try to understand the best we can. I think the rest of the board feels the same way. I don't know anyone that's made any decision about this or not talking about it or saying this is going to happen or it's not.
Understood.
And we just want to do what is best, actually rather than best, because it may be, unfortunately, 4 houses are you right, and you can do that. It may be, unfortunately, that one, you know, just we need to determine that.
Understood. In my comment,
bias or position here that I think anyone has taken.
Understood. In my comment, just to be clear about frustration, isn't directed at the board or any members of the board. We appreciate the careful consideration that you are giving this, and we appreciate the building commissioner's careful consideration of this. And reasonable minds can disagree. Some of this, is technical legal questions, and that's why we provided that legal memo. We have outlined other projects, in other towns that have been upheld, far more substantial reconstructions or replacements, or whatever you want to call it, than this, that have been upheld as a matter of right. So we encourage the board to review all the material we provided.
I think we'll all spend some time going through your pamphlet. It's very well put together, and my hope is that Mr. Haverty can give us some clarity on the law. As he sees it, it's a little different, I think, than what you're looking at, but there is a right to this. There's a right way this will go, so.
Council will be at the next meeting.
Would it be possible to request that town council be present on July 1st? Perhaps he intends to be, but
I think that's my intent, is to request that, and yes, we will have him there. Should there be a reason, we'll look at rescheduling, but I think as far as I know, Mr. Haverty is planning on attending the 1st. And we're going to understand a little about how many people are going to be there, so we can be in a venue that people can be safe, comfortable, and express their views. I think there's some frustration with the abutters not being able to be here and express their concerns, and it's a little Chelmsford, it's a big deal, so.
Understood.
With that, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn, I'm going to ask for a motion to continue until July 1st.
I'll make a motion to continue to July 1st.
Caveat that with a venue to be chosen. If you can just find out how many people are planning on attending, I think putting 20 or 30 people in the room at this time is probably not our best advantage, so we can talk with Paul Cohen and see what else is available at the police station or what, I don't know.
I'll figure it out.
Okay, I know you will. So with that, I'm going to ask for a
Make a
motion.
motion to continue the meeting to July 1st.
I'll second the motion.
Second, Ellen, all in favor? Yep. Aye.
Aye.
Steve and Jamie? Yep.
Yep.
And then I ask for a motion. Thank you all for your patience tonight. I know it's been a long night for everyone. I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
And just so the members are aware, Jamie's already told me that she won't be here next week, so we'll be meeting our...
Next meeting, she won't be here?
Yeah. So we'll be meeting our associates.
Okay, well, Mr. Diggs attended.
Yeah, everybody's attended.